It's Sunday. You know what that means? AEW Revolution is coming to you live from the jam-packed Chase Center in San Francisco, California. We are tremendously loaded here tonight. Our main event, the 60-minute Iron Man match. Will MJF retain the AEW World Championship, or will the era of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, begin tonight? Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for Revolution. I'm Excalibur, joined by the Human Suplex Machine, Taz, and the Hall of Fame voice of professional wrestling, JR. We have a massive night of action ahead, Jim.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I said online this week that if you like a lot of wrestling, this is your show. Well, a lot of wrestling and diverse, Taz, as well.
Absolute physicality's coming at you.
Well, DraftKings has $25,000 in total prizes up for grabs in a free-to-play pool where you can answer multiple choice questions about Revolution. Questions including, will MJF use the Dynamite Diamond Ring during the match, and more. You still have a chance to sign up on DraftKings using promo code REVOLUTION right now and play free during the main event. Learn more about the pools with this word from our friend at DraftKings.
AEW fans, it's time for you to get in on the action with DraftKings. Just enter a free-to-play pool and answer questions about the match. Get enough correct to win your share of $25,000 in total prizes. Questions like, who will get the first submission? And who will win the match? Just download the DraftKings app, enter the promo code, and join a free-to-play AEW pool. So get in on the action with DraftKings.
Maybe it'll be who gets the chair.
Well, we are just moments away from our opening contest, so let's go down to Justin Roberts.
Your opening contest is set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. And the Jericho Appreciation Society is banned from ringside.
He says sleeplessly, they're banned from ringside. You don't think Jericho doesn't have a plan? Come on.
Introducing first, from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, weighing 225 pounds, the Ocho, Chris Jericho.
JR, to your point, Chris Jericho always has a plan, but Taz, for the first time in his AEW career, Chris Jericho on something of a cold streak.
Yeah, a little bit, which is a shocking, surprising thing. He's going into a matchup with a man who has a win over him already. You know, so the thing is, I agree with you, Jim Ross, for sure. Knowing Jericho a long time, competing against Jericho, he's got to have a game plan for sure.
Well, high stakes, you got it. Worldwide audience, you got it. Jericho knows all those marketing points better than probably anybody on the roster. So he knows what's at stake here. He needs to get back in the win column, quite frankly.
He's got Floyd in hand. That nasty bat he carries around with him.
So every match is important. If you get put into a situation like this on a major pay-per-view that is going to be widely watched globally, you want to put your best foot forward, goes without saying.
Is televised.
Weighing 210 pounds, Absolute Ricky Starks.
You see Absolute Ricky Starks with the tape around the ribs. Taz, it wasn't that long ago. It was late last year. Ricky Starks suffering a rib injury. He still toughed it out, but the assault by the Jericho Appreciation Society, the assault by Chris Jericho with that bat, re-aggravating that injury.
Absolutely, and that's something that Jericho is a master at. He will pinpoint an injury and stay on it and find it, and that's a target around Starks' waist in that tape and ace bandage type deal there to keep his body together, and Jericho, I'm sure, will zone after that.
You might as well get a magic marker out and write, hit me.
You know, you kind of have to, though. You know, Jerry, you got to wear, you know, if you're having a problem with your rib, it's really tough to there's nothing to do for it except kind of support it with tape like this.
Ricky Starks and Chris Jericho starting things out. A flurry of fists, and now Starks with the upper hand on Jericho here in the early goings.
Starks needs to rely on his quickness, you know, for sure. He probably has the advantage over Jericho for sure on that, and his intensity is amped up right now.
You don't want to blow it all too early either. That could happen.
I've done it, and you're correct. That sucks when that happens.
But Taz, you've experienced the heavy-handedness of Chris Jericho firsthand, so to speak, and you know what those shots, those knife-edge chops were doing to the body, the torso of Ricky Starks.
Absolutely. You know, it's underrated how much Jericho is a heavy hitter. He's heavy-handed, and he's a triple tough guy.
Man, Ricky Starks is so jacked tonight.
He's fired up, man.
He's fired up. His mental game plan. Look at this. Taking a big chance early.
The tope driving Chris Jericho into the barricade. And Jericho looking something out of sorts here in the early goings.
The faster the pace, perhaps, Excalibur, the more it's to Ricky Starks' favor. And not Jericho.
And the thing, too, is I think all three of us could agree. I mean, Jericho's going into this with something he always has, is that's confidence. I think his confidence might be down a bit to the point you made, Excalibur. He's kind of been in the L column lately.
Yeah, that's right. The loss to Action Andretti in December. The loss on the first Dynamite of the new year to Absolute Ricky Starks. Chris Jericho had never dropped 2 singles matches in a row in his AEW career. You go back to Ring of Honor's final battle where Chris Jericho was defeated by Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship. That's 3 in a row, 3 losses in a row for Jericho. Something that has not happened for Chris in 6 years.
Well, one way you cure that, you win. And that's what Jericho's got to do tonight. I picked him before this match to win this contest tonight. But certainly no disrespect to Ricky Starks, who has improved, fellas, into that main event conversation as fast as anybody in AEW.
The Lion Salt misses, and now Ricky Starks back to his feet. Jericho sent into the ropes, back body drops.
Oh, he got caught here. Yeah, Ricky got caught.
And Jericho,
oh, those ribs. Midsection, right across that top rope.
That cable is not friendly.
And Starks,
who is that?
Yeah, taking off the apron, crashing into the barricade. Courtesy of the Ocho, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, and see his head hit, and then obviously holding the ribs is Starks.
Well, here we go. Here we're doing that rib story again, Taz.
Well, it's there, man, and like you said, cable, that top rope, that second rope and third rope, as you said on the pregame show on 0 Hour, I mean, that's not rope. These are steel cables with rubber over it, so it's super high tension.
And we talked about the cold streak for Jericho. He did get a little bit of a warm-up this past Wednesday night at Dynamite with a victory over Pretty Peter Avalon, but right now, Jericho looking to keep that momentum going.
But let me say this. I think all 3 of us could perhaps agree on the fact that if we're having a draft, and you got a chance to draft for Chris Jericho, you're going to jump on it. All 3 of us, I think, would agree with that. He's too damn good, too versatile.
He's a Tom Brady. He's a Tom Brady, a veteran living legend. There's no doubt.
Chris Jericho, of course, the first ever AEW World Champion.
And I tell you what, excuse me, Excalibur, but I think he'll be the AEW World Champion again. I really do believe that.
He certainly could, but, you know, a man that has future champion written all over him is Absolute Ricky Starks. And Taz, you knew that, you saw that in Ricky Starks, which is why you recruited him to Team Taz.
Absolutely, he was a major part, a sergeant at arms in Team Taz. He was a leader of the group for sure, and I had a long talk with Ricky earlier today. He seemed very focused for this contest here. Oh, against Chris, but man, Jericho really dropped him there.
And look, with the torque on that lower back, the ribs, that entire torso area, it's got to be just hellacious right now for Ricky.
Yeah, JR, and it was a bit of a 2-for-1 for Chris Jericho, because not only did he get the backbreaker, but Starks came down on the back of his neck as well.
No favors done there, I can tell you now. So here's where one can question Jericho's strategy. He's not going to win this match by popping Pretty Ricky on the back of the head.
Well, he's trying to disrespect Ricky, and to your point, it's not working. No, he amped him up.
It takes it. You can go one or two ways. You can go to heaven or hell here. And Ricky is coming through. He got awakened, so to speak.
Ricky Starks looking for the hammer, throws to the opposite corner. Jericho turns it around. Starks got hung up in the ropes. And now Jericho drop Starks.
Well done right there. That is, hey, the accuracy and the ability to do that kick and land the kick to the head is fabulous. It's amazing.
Oh, right again towards those ribs, man. The rib cage of Starks has got to be burning right now. The rib cage, what does it do? It protects your body, protects your organs. And this guy, Jericho, knows that. If you're a pro wrestler at the success level and championship level that Jericho is, he knows how to dissect the human body, and that's what we're witnessing right here.
Big night here tonight in San Francisco. Bay Area supporting AEW amazingly well.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous week here in Northern California, the city by the bay. As
you know, I was born right up the street.
Go brag. Yeah. Really? Yeah. So the whole Oklahoma thing's a work?
Well, kind of.
Great crowd on hand here at the Chase Center, and they are in support of Ricky Starks. I would say maybe close to 60-40, maybe 65-35 for absolute Ricky Starks.
Ricky's got a great fan following. He's easy to like. He's a great kid, but if he only can stay focused for the duration of the match, sometimes he fades away. But he has such great abilities, he can recoup and regenerate his offense.
Jericho was driving the elbow into the ribs of Ricky Starks, and Ricky popped Jericho in the face a few times now, throwing those right hands.
Those are hard right hands, and good reversal by Jericho. And wow, what a follow-up, man. Good job by Starks.
Ricky Starks, that shows maturity. He knew he had to hit something big, something significant.
Starks off
that DDT there. Wow.
DDT, and now Ricky with the cover, the near leg hook down. Jericho kicks out.
It was a struggle for Jericho to kick out before the 3 count, I can tell you.
Now Taz, with a DDT like that, Ricky Starks, he twisted. It was the spinning DDT off the middle rope.
The torque.
But it also brings Jericho's body, his shoulders. No, but onto Ricky's
on his ribs.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. And the impact, yes. I think you meant the torque of the DDT. But yeah, no, you're taking some of that blow when you have a rib cage issue. Yeah.
The torque. The torque.
T-O-R. There's a Q and a U in there somewhere, I think.
And an E on the end.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho climbing to the top. Ricky Starks. Oh, man, a superplex from Chris Jericho with the shape of Ricky Starks' ribs would be disastrous.
Yeah, Ricky's got to stop this. I'm sorry. He's got to. Oh, he did.
If I were Ricky, I'd take the damn tape off and quit reminding everybody that he's hurt.
Well, the cat's out of the bag at this point. Jericho, just a lifting knee.
I know it's not a secret. I'm not a detective.
Death Valley driver.
Oh, man. Caught on that. The nose got caught, I think.
Cover, and Starks kicking out. Yeah, he was clutching his face. He's clutching his ribs. Ricky Starks is in serious trouble against the Ocho, Chris Jericho.
Well, Jericho is just, like I said earlier, picking apart the body here from the neck, the upper back. Obviously, the rib cage area, chopping his chest like crazy.
Jericho sending Starks sternum first into that top turnbuckle, and codebreaker attempted.
Good power here by Starks if he can pull this off.
Ricky!
Turn it to offense, defense, offense, a cover, and a near fall.
A desperation powerbomb by Absolute Ricky Starks.
Yeah, he switched that quick. That was great by Absolute.
That shows the growth of young Ricky Starks and the amazing future that he has ahead of him here in AEW.
Starks thinking Rochambeau. Jericho escapes, lands on his feet, ducks the back elbow attempt, leapfrog by Ricky, and a codebreaker.
Well, that's some impact right there, folks.
Great counter by Jericho. He's had him scouted, man. Oh, God, this might be it.
Chris Jericho, no!
Man, how close is that?
That was super close.
Great anticipation, great improvisation, Taz.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just That spear in mind, and Jericho one step ahead right there. Code break the city. Oof, right again across the midsection.
Took great timing on Jericho's part to envision what was coming and turn that into a positive for Jericho.
Yeah, it's a big-time counter by a big-time player in Jericho.
Yeah, Chris Jericho, a tremendous sports entertainer, but pretty damn good pro wrestler when he needs to be.
Yeah, he's not too shabby. Neither is Starks. Slapping the daylights right now with Jericho. Just be careful, don't throw hands with Jericho.
Starks reversing Jericho into the ropes. The bypass, Jericho goes over the top, gets his footing on the apron.
Look at Jericho move around. Athletic.
Jericho to the top.
Invigorated.
Starks the spear!
Gotta get him now, top him. Got him.
Covers in.
Oh, man. Pretty Ricky got close. About a half a count away at that.
I mean, Starks had an awesome sense of urgency on that cover, but still wasn't enough.
Yeah, no wasted time. Ricky Starks immediately going for the cover after connecting with the spear, but Chris Jericho still with something left in the tank.
Hell of a way to start off. Revolution here on pay-per-view, folks. These guys are, this is a main event anywhere, anytime.
You can see the disdain and hatred they have for each other, eye to eye, literally head to head.
Paz, this is a great rivalry.
Yeah, I agree with you, JR, no doubt.
It's a great rivalry that's bringing out the best in both competitors. But
I'm not so sure that Jericho doesn't see a little bit of himself in Ricky Starks once upon a time.
oh, Ricky Starks, just a thrust kick. Starks left his feet with that one, throwing his entire body weight into it, Taz.
Yeah, he might have wanted to draw, but I think he caught the sternum area, but it definitely dropped Chris. Look at Ricky here.
He moves up, lands on his feet. Jericho swings on the leg, maybe thinking walls.
Oh, buddy.
Fans know what's coming or what's going to be attempted.
Starks made a big mistake here.
The walls of Jericho are locked in. See, referee Aubrey Edwards, she was eye to eye with Ricky Starks. Starks saying, I am not giving up.
That's good officiating.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Look at that counter by rolling in by Ricky.
Great counter, but Taz, that takes so much core strength. Oh, wait. Jericho gets dropped down by Ricky Starks.
Trying for a single leg grab here.
There's a hell of a counter into this single leg, which is also a submission maneuver.
Yeah,
Old school.
it is, though, you're right. And I just wish Ricky could figure for that over that kneecap, but he's got that brace on, does Jericho. You can't get the hand figure forward. Oh, whoa, what is this thing?
Oh, the Jericho Appreciation Society is banned from ringside. And
Who the hell was that?
Action Andretti just wiping out.
Where the hell these guys come
I have no idea where he came from, but Sammy's not supposed to be out here.
Look at this, Jericho.
Floyd, the bat, makes his appearance.
The bat
Put him
is-
on a pay sheet.
As the referee's back is turned, I don't think Aubrey Edwards realizes what's happening. As Sammy Guevara and Action Andretti just continue to battle at ringside. And Jericho, the shot to the ribs. Referee saw nothing.
Boy, if that doesn't do it, I don't know what will.
Yeah, agreed.
Aubrey Edwards didn't see any of that from Chris Jericho. Jericho now lining him up.
Judas.
Starks, he blocked it.
Look at Ricky fighting back. Look at Pretty Ricky is fired up, bringing the offensively.
I don't think we've ever seen anyone block the Judas effect quite like that. And now Jericho getting hammered down. Starks, a toe kick.
Oh, Jericho. Out on his feet, it looks to me like.
We watching Rochambeau, man.
Starks, the double underhook, and Rochambeau!
He's gonna get him. Starks is gonna get him.
Leg is hooked. It's over. Ricky Starks has defeated Chris Jericho here at Revolution.
Starks.
Well, that's a hell of a contest, fellas.
Ricky Starks adds his name to a very rare list here in All Elite Wrestling. A man that has 2 wins over the Ocho, Chris Jericho.
I think it's safe to say that Starks has the number of Jericho.
Absolute Ricky Starks kicking us off here tonight in San Francisco on Revolution with a massive win.
Probably the biggest win in Ricky's career.
Ricky Starks with 2 in a row on the Ocho, Chris Jericho. As you said, JR, a landmark victory for Ricky Starks.
It was a landmark. You'll always remember this night.
Physical.
Coming up next, the final burial. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, one-on-one with Christian Cage. In order to win this match, there are no disqualifications. The only rule is that you have to lock your opponent in the casket and slam the lid shut.
Pretty straightforward. Not a real popular guy here in AEW is Christian Cage, but nonetheless, amazingly talented.
I don't think he's popular anywhere, not just AEW, but I agree, JR. Christian Cage, extremely talented man. Where the hell is he?
He's always frowning.
I know the feeling.
This is the final burial. The only way to win is to put your opponent in the casket and shut the lid. Approaching the ring first from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Weighing to 118 pounds, Christian Cage.
Christian Cage looking over his left shoulder. He sees the casket, he sees the dirt, he sees the shovel. Will this be the final chapter in the rivalry between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy Jack Perry?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this thing unfolds.
I've called a lot of these tight matches in general, as
Yes.
sure as you have too.
Yes, I have, yeah.
But they're so unpredictable, and this has been tweaked a little bit.
And they're dangerous. I don't think a lot of fans realize the danger in these type matches.
And his opponent from Valley Village, weighing 190 pounds, Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Well, high stakes for Jack tonight.
The last time Jungle Boy Jack Perry and Christian Cage shared a ring was back at All Out last year. Christian Cage defeated Jack in just 24 seconds, but Taz, that wasn't the whole story. On paper, it looks like a lopsided win. But Jack was stabbed in the back by his former partner, Luchasaurus, slammed on the pyro grate.
Absolutely. I'll never forget that thud of Jack's body, Jack Perry's body on the pyro grid in front of the staging area here. And thanks to, Luchasaurus. But right now, it comes down to Christian Cage and that man right here in this final burial contest. It's gonna be wild.
Jack is really filling out. You can tell he's spending a lot of time in the gym, preparing himself for bigger and better things somewhere down the road. He swears he's going to be a champion, a singles champion in this company sooner than later.
And you know what, JR? I believe Jack Perry.
I do too. I'm with you, Excalibur, on that one.
Jack Perry opting for the traditional street fight attire, the boots and the denim jeans. Christian Cage opting for a cut-off sleeveless turtleneck for some reason, but
You don't see that much turtlenecks with no sleeve.
Jack Perry now gaining the upper hand here in the early going, raining down rights on Christian Cage. Christian immediately bailing out, trying to put some distance between himself and the aggressor, Jack Perry.
Jack has not lost in this calendar year. And right there, Christian Cage may have lost some teeth.
Yeah, using the leg strength right there. Jack pulling in Christian. He really met that ring post with Christian Cage.
Jack's a record in AEW. It's absolutely amazing. The third highest win total in the men's division with 88. Trailing only Moxley and Orange.
JR, you mentioned that Jack is undefeated this year with his sights set. Oh, wait, Jack.
Nice.
Turning things around at Christian Cage. With Jack Perry looking for the tope. Christian just bailed out. And we've seen Christian do this before. He's run from Jack in the past.
You got to be careful with Christian, though. He's sketchy.
He sure is, and Jack's got to be careful he's not being led into some sort of ridiculous trap.
Bingo. And that definitely is the way Christian Cage rolls, man.
Oh, well, Jack caught up with him this time. The first time Jack wasn't so lucky, and now these two men battling it out up in the stands here in the Chase Center.
I'm going to tell you from experience, guys, I've had a lot of matches in my career in the audience, in the crowd, on those cement steps and stuff. It's slippery. People drop, beer or candy or whatever, and stuff gets slippery, and it's unpredictable when you're out there. That's just see right there.
It's dangerous as hell, Ted.
It is. No, it really is. I mean, the short Christian
really
slip.
is.
It's very dangerous.
And the fans got a bird's eye view.
That's what I'm saying. You slip on these things. It happens. See the bottom of a wrestling by pretty sure Christian's wearing a traditional wrestling sole boot. It's slipped. So it slips. It's not made for cement. I'm over here like a cobbler out here. Cobbler Jones.
That makes me hungry.
Different type of cobbler.
Jack Perry.
Jack is surviving this damn thing pretty well. Folks, this is the first time we've ever seen this match. We don't know what to predict, what to expect, much like you. So we're watching it unfold, and I tell you, I kind of like that.
And Christian Cage just realized what he was walking toward.
Yeah, he's walking toward. Oh, whoa, he got caught, fireman carried up in the air here.
Jack hoisting up Christian Cage. And now Christian getting dropped down on the ramp. Christian Cage, he's fighting with a sense of desperation here, Taz.
Yeah, you're right. Christian Cage does not want to get near that casket and that dirt over there to the left of our stage here.
Jack Perry, I was mentioning his undefeated record here in this calendar year of victory over a former multi-time world champion in Christian Cage would do wonders for Jack's momentum, JR.
Nice on the resume, I can tell you that.
Biting the head right there. You got to get vicious, got to get nasty. Do what you got to do in these type of matchups.
Jack Perry raining down right hands as Christian Cage just getting battered in the... Oh, wait, Christian. Oh, talk about getting nasty. Christian grabbing a handful of hair. And you notice referee Stephon Smith, he didn't warn Christian Cage. It is no DQ. That was legal in this match, JR.
Yeah, it was. I think he might have just checking to see how glazed over the eyes were.
And there we caught a quick look there at Jack's mother, Jack's sister, sitting at ringside looking on. I think they would love to see an end to this rivalry almost as much as anyone, Taz.
Yeah, I think you're right. We've heard Christian say some really disgusting things about Jack's family and you know, his dad, who's no longer with us, his great dad. And, you know, so it's tough, I'm sure, for his mom and his sister. They must despise this man, Christian Cage.
Well, he's hurt their feelings. He's made it personal. He's gone places that were unnecessary.
In front of the world, on a worldwide, global level, you know. And there you see it.
Jack's sister there on the right side of your screen, his mom towards the center, looking on, a very concerned look on their faces.
Look at this. God, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do that.
That's nasty. That's innovation.
And that is violence at its blatant best right there. Oof.
Innovation, and it's legal. Oh, damn. I mean, there's no submission. The only way to end this match is to put your opponent in the casket and close the lid.
That's it. Plain and simple.
But as we know, as history shows, you wear down your opponent in a ring, around the ring, in the audience,
You're
wherever.
a loser, Jack. You don't have it.
These guys got interesting trails to get here.
This is your goodbye.
Christian in a 7-year absence from the game in its entirety.
You heard Christian. He was barking in Jack's ear. He said, you never have it. You never will.
Also, might note that Jungle Boy Jack Perry has wrestled more matches in AEW than anybody. At 132. He's paying his dues. He's getting better every single day.
Oh! And Jack, he anticipated what Christian was going to do, and he turned it around on him. And now Jack, with the tope, sends Christian crashing into the barricade once again.
He has a sudden and quick tope, Taz.
Yeah, he does. He's got good first step explosion, and now you're seeing a lot of intensity and rage in Jungle Boy right here. Nice headbutt.
Headbutt, and now
Out above the eye. That's a very tender area.
Christian's head just being bounced off those steel ring steps.
I'm just telling you, that shot above the left eye may do some damage. But it was really clean.
Look what Jack is doing right now.
Put him open, I think. I think Christian, I saw some blood there.
This is how Jack Perry, this is how he tore the ligament in Christian Cage's elbow just a few months ago. But, oh!
Damn, spine versus steel. Steel wins again.
And the back of the skull, too, of Jack Perry hit that steel step. Man, you knew it was going to be nasty. Let's take a look at this. Watch this impact here. Sweeps the leg, the ankle pick there. Oof.
Surrounded by inanimate objects, many that are sharp, and they all hurt.
He's taking his belt off again. Oh, boy. Woodshed time, JR.
Yeah. Been there.
Christian Cage.
And again, there's no disqualification, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa! Hear that leather, that flesh meeting?
There's another one.
The crack of the leather belt ringing. Out through the Chase Center is Jack. There you see Christian.
Just like this.
You see his sister yelling at him. I mean, she must want to rip his eyes out of his head.
It's got to be so hard for Jack's family to watch this, knowing
It's an animalistic trade. It's terrible.
It's all legal, too. No disqualification.
and Jack just being driven down.
And his back is going to look horrific.
And remember, Taz, when Jack was chokeslammed on that pyro grate, not only was it just the steel, but he was scorching hot.
Yeah, burning hot. And now look, he's getting choked out with his own leather belt. It's smart that Jack's trying to get some separation with his fingers and the leather across his esophagus and his windpipe.
We talked about how important this match was for Jungle Boy Jack Perry to win. But let's not forget the other guy. It's important for him to win as well.
Christian Cage opening the lid of the casket for the first time. And, oh, look at Christian. He planned ahead. He must have planted those chairs inside the casket.
Yeah, he had that look on his face like, who would have thunk it? Yeah, I think you might be right.
Oh! But Jack with a big elbow strike.
Jack up in a timely fashion.
Oh, he's got to just get him in there and close that lid if he can.
Oh, but
Back elbow, hard one.
Jack hoists up Christian Cage, trying to drop him in the casket. Christian now.
Oh, Jack's got to get out of that.
Jack Perry fighting for all he's worth here. It's come down to this. We're turning the corner, it looks like.
Oh, but body drop.
You could feel the staging off under our feet here. You could feel that vibration.
A thin layer of dirt, absolutely no padding for the landing for Jack Perry.
And that dirt didn't help him a tad at all. Now, what the hell does this Christian Cage have in mind with that chair set up?
Well, he's going to try to hurt this kid. And the thing about these guys have gone so far in their matches and their encounters, you worry about the health.
Christian thinking kill switch on the chair, but no!
Oh my God!
Christian thrown off the stage by Jack Perry. Now Jack leaping onto Christian off the stage.
That was wild.
Well, the family likes it. The crowd likes it. Maybe the only one here that doesn't like it is Christian.
You know, we've seen...
Watch this.
Amazing, amazing.
We've seen the lengths that Christian Cage is willing to go to end this rivalry, to try to end, shorten or even end the career of Jungle Boy Jack Perry. But Jack, he's
low blow.
Jack has pulled back in the past, and it's caught him. Jack has been unwilling to sink to the depths that Christian Cage is willing to, and that may be the advantage, the decisive advantage for Christian Cage.
Well, to your point, yeah, Jack Perry always has that little bit of hesitation to go that extra mile to maim or hurt Christian. And right there, Christian with that low blow, again, all legal.
Jungle Boy Jack Perry's going to check his heart at the door. These are environments you can't survive and win without being relentless and uncaring.
Yeah, you got to be...
Jack Perry's personality allowed him to do that.
You got to be extra violent as we're witnessing Christian do here.
Christian bouncing Jack's head repeatedly off the top of the casket. Now Jack.
Oh, that's it. He's just going to close the lid here.
Got to shut the lid. That's it.
Christian Cage with the final burial of
Jack countering, pushing back as hard as he can, but it may be too little too late.
Christian just throttling Jack, trying everything, but Jack, you can see how Jack's arms are shaking. He's doing everything to stay alive in this one as Jack throwing right hands.
Fighting right back. He got to his knees and Jungle Boy Jack Perry. He's not done yet.
Yeah, he realized he had to get out of that casket, and he did. Now what? Oh, what a shot.
Oof. The dirt into the eyes. It's an old trick, but an effective one.
That'll blind you temporarily for sure.
Christian Cage now. They can kill Swim.
Oh my God, that is it.
Well, but somehow Jungle Boy Jack's got to get put in that casket.
Oh no, guys.
This is not good here either.
You know what he's looking to do before he even attempts to put him back in that casket.
A little concerto action.
Yeah, I think so, man.
If Christian does this, this is the end for Jungle Boy Jack. Perry, no!
Oh! There was no hesitation by Christian, but it didn't work. Get that shovel!
Look at Jack using that shovel as a weapon in retaliation.
But look at this. Christian is just, he's trying to choke.
Christian is willing to choke Jack Perry unconscious.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And let's see how far will Jack go.
Christian gouging the eyes. See how his index finger is dug into Jack's eye out of sheer desperation.
That's a dangerous man with that dangerous spade. That's what that shovel's called. That's a spade.
He's a desperate man.
Oh, yeah, he is. You're right.
A desperate man.
You walked around and crazy thing.
Whoa. Jack Perry, he's got the snare trap locked in, and he's got the shovel in between the teeth of Christian Cage.
Good grief. Oh, he's going to wear out Christian here. He's done.
Christian fades. He dropped.
But the process isn't over.
That's right. Don't matter if he pins him or if he taps out. It don't matter. Got to get him in that cat. Uh-oh.
Well,
Jack.
Has someone turned over a new darker leaf?
Jack Perry looking to remove any possible doubt. Jack Perry, he stopped himself before, but now he seems.
Does he have the killer instinct? Does Jack Perry have the instincts to reach down in his guts and let it explode and become the man that story wants? Oh! I think that answered our question. Good Lord!
Oh, that was sickening.
We hear that in McCovey's code.
The anguished look. The anguished look on Jack's face. I think he got pushed to a place that he didn't want to go, Taz.
I think you're right, but I think it looks like Christian is definitely done here, but wow.
Man, what a concerto. Swing, crack. The steel chair, the skull.
Jack's mother, Jack's sister looking on.
Jack's a little...
Yeah, he just gave Christian a kiss on the forehead. He's paying his final respects to a man that he considered to be a mentor, a man that he considered to be a guiding light.
Just close the lid, Jack. Oh, damn.
Wow. Here is your winner, Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
A signature victory for Jungle Boy Jack Perry in the city by the bay.
But in order to do so, Jack Perry had to go to a very dark place, and I think that realization has fully set in.
That's a price you pay, right, Taz? It's a price you pay.
Yeah, that was, he went to that next level, did Jack Perry. He had to, let's be honest. It's tough to watch. It was dark and all that stuff, but man, Christian Cage has definitely pushed Jack Perry, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, to the level of pulling off that type of violence we just witnessed right there.
Undoubtedly, this has to be cathartic for Jack Perry, JR, but
yeah.
I mean, this was a man that, despite everything that Christian Cage has done to Jack, he was a man that was a very, very big figure in Jack's life.
Jack allowed his anger and his angst, his hatred for this issue to manifest itself. He's got it in him. This kid's got everything it takes to be a champion.
Tremendous competitor, no doubt about it.
A tremendous competitor and tremendous win for Jungle Boy Jack Perry. But now we turn our attention to the AEW World Trios Championship. Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, collectively known as the Elite, will take on Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, the House of Black.
I feel like this is like a wrestling fan's dream. It's not just going to be high-flying, super kicks, et cetera, there's going to be that brutality factor brought in as well from House of Black.
You absolutely never know what Malachi Black and the House of Black are going to come up with. So the unpredictability of them makes it hard to really predict what's going to happen in this match.
I'm impressed with how the House of Black has evolved. If the House of Black can control the pace, speed of the match, in other words, they got a great shot at winning. But nobody's been able to slow down and dictate an extended pace to the Elite yet.
I can't bet against the Elite. The chemistry, the blood relation, I mean, their time in Ring of Honor together. They know that ring awareness, they know how they function as a group, and I don't think anything can derail that.
Who will leave San Francisco as the AEW World Trios champions? That's a really tough question. Luckily, I'm not the one that has to decide it.
Time limit is for the AEW World Trios Championship. Introducing the challengers, being accompanied by Julia Hart at a combined weight of 745 pounds. Buddy Matthews, Brody King, Malachi Black, the House of Black.
In 1 year's time, the House of Black has become one of the most dominant trios in all of professional wrestling. And that is thanks in large part to their intimidation factor. But can the Elite be intimidated?
I don't think so. They're veterans. They've been around for a long time. They're experienced. They've worked in the big shows everywhere around the world. I don't think they'll be intimidated in any stretch of the imagination. However, how do you, Taz, plan for the unpredictability of a team led by Mr. Black?
Well, that's the toughest part right there, what you just said, JR, is the unpredictability of these men here. You know, and I agree with you guys. I agree with JR. I don't think that the Elite will be intimidated. They have an edge about them, the Elite do.
Seven series for the AEW World Trios Championships. You know, I think a lot of fans may have thought they've seen, you know, the best that this division has to offer. But then you have a team, a trio, like the House of Black, that athletically matches up so well with the Elite, Taz.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Athletically, they match up. The thing you got to watch with the House of Black, as JR alluded to, is their predictability, but also the pure violence these three athletes can dish out. And that's the difference between them and everybody else in this trios division.
And that, Taz, excuse me, seems to be where we are with the mindsets. I'm very impressed by the House of Black. I'll be surprised in a mild way if they don't leave here with a championship. But that's just my guess.
It'd be tough to argue that. Yeah, I think you might be right.
And I have the utmost respect for the Elite, no doubt about that. Except I don't have a lot of respect for Don Callis, who's joining us.
See the House of Black, they have not moved an inch since the Young Bucks have come to the ring. They're not intimidated either, Taz.
No, I think the House of Black enjoys this.
You guys want to say hello to Don?
Hey, Don, how are you, guys?
Don's here.
Do we have to? Great to see you.
To be perfectly blunt, I'm a little nervous about this.
You should be. We were just talking about before you got on headsets here that the House of Black are a legitimate, nasty threat towards those trios titles right now.
I made a very unofficial guess that we have new tag champions tonight. This match.
That's what you said.
I did.
But what do you know?
Nothing.
You're right.
I know more than you. I know where the silly shoes you're wearing. You look like Jack Benny's butler.
Here's the difference in this whole thing here. Here's the difference. The difference maker is Kenny Omega, who's the greatest wrestler who ever lived. That's going to be the difference.
Captain Obvious, you're always on point.
Well, this is a very interesting matchup to start things out. Buddy Matthews for the House of Black side, Kenny Omega from the side of the Elite. These are two wrestlers that oftentimes, for years, Don, were compared to one another stylistically. Buddy Matthews, a lot of people see him draw inspiration from the so-called god of professional wrestling, Kenny Omega.
He's like a lot of people, a lot of young wrestlers. Look, Buddy Matthews physically is very close to being the equal of Kenny Omega. Where Kenny Omega has the advantage, brain power, Excalibur.
Take that.
Matthews with the wrist of Omega. Omega up to his feet.
We'll see a lot of counters here out of both these guys towards each other. Buddy just got thrown right there. Nice job.
Very, very fundamentally sound, both these guys.
Oh, yeah. No
it's
doubt.
like watching a clinic here with these two.
And Don, I know it's always tough to get you to divulge game plans in the, when you're out here on these matches, but it seems like Kenny Omega, at least in the early going, not going to that quick pace that the Elite like to favor.
I'm going to give you a little inside information. My strategy was no game plan because I maintain you can't game plan for the House of Black. Let's just go out there and be what we are, which is great trios champions.
You're all over that trios thing.
Both evenly matched here. You see both these guys, Omega and Buddy. What's that? You're going to say something, Luke?
Well, Malachi Black tagging himself in. I was going to say, Tez, as a competitor for so many years, there had to be instances where you had a game plan, you were coming into a match with a playbook in your head, and other times that you knew that you just had to go by feel.
Yeah, many times you have to go by feel. So I get what Don's saying. Sometimes you do have to just go in there and go by feel. If you overthink a match and you go against a guy who's a stud, or in this case, 3 studs, you're going to get lit up, and that game plan goes in the garbage. Paralysis by analysis is what we say in business, Taz. Thank you, Don.
That's what they say, Taz.
Thank you.
This is awesome chant here in the early goings.
Hey, these two teams, from what I've seen thus far, have great chemistry together. This should be a classic before it's all said and done. And remember, it's for the championship.
This is a dream matchup for sure. If you look at Kenny Omega and Malachi Black.
Omega blocked the leg kick attempted by the Dutch Muay Thai practitioner Malachi Black.
Got wrist control right there. Great job by Kenny. And taking down. You'll get control over that wrist joint. That little joint, man, that will take you down.
Nice. Malachi, sweep, but Omega, the boot up. Caught Malachi charging in. Omega rolls off the back of Malachi Black. And the arm drag from Omega. Great counter, great arm drag there by Malachi.
That's a hold like when a guy grabs around the waist. It's called a fat man roll, believe it or not. And that was really well done by really keeping your hip tight to your opponent, and take him down, and then key lock the arm. And that's what we're watching. A nice low ankle kick by Malachi.
We spoke about the best of 7 series.
Watch that.
Educated feet, someone once said.
Here we go, get it. One winged angel, the back heel kick, and Omega knows he came very, very close to having his legs put out.
And showing great respect and appreciation for the efforts of these two superb athletes.
Kenny's a great striker, that's well documented, but you must be careful exchanging strikes with that man, Malachi Black. You can't allow yourself to get pulled into a head game with Malachi Black, in my view. Well, I think you're right, Don, and you talk about the brain power of Kenny by him tagging out. I think that was smart. I respect it.
Matt Jackson calling out Brody King.
How smart is that?
I don't know.
Does Matt have a concussion?
He might in a few seconds. This is a big, bad, painful man.
I think he's the difference maker in this entire match.
Look at the size difference, Jim Ross. Look at the size difference. It's like, maybe I'll tag in my brother.
Matt Jackson sent to the corner. Brody King trying to flatten Matt, and now the tag made.
That's one way to try to defend this guy.
A double drop kick will do the trick.
Missed the count.
Double shoulder tackle. Omega. Whoa! Man, hit his head.
That was a shot. That's a massive athlete.
Now the House of
And
Black.
he's athletic.
Very quick.
He's not a Clydesdale. This guy's a thoroughbred.
The Elite, the House of Black. Bit of a stalemate here.
Oh, there we go. The old Pierce Sixer breaking down in the Bay Area.
Buddy Matthews pairing off with Matt Jackson inside the ring. Nick Jackson just kicked Malachi out on the floor. Now Nick.
Oh, spiked him. Pretty was that.
And Nick Jackson wipes out Malachi on the floor. A buddy sent to the outside. Matt Jackson.
House of Black has lost their momentum.
Yeah, Matt's going to fly here.
Matt ascends to the top and the crossbody over the post. Now Brody King inside the ring with Penny.
Brody King all tattooed up in his face painter. It's disturbing.
And Omega counters the hook on Rana.
That Rana on a man that's 6'6", just a little south of 300 pounds. That was impressive by Kenny.
Really impressive.
Terminator clap ringing out through this arena. Omega building up momentum over the top and wipes out the House of Black.
Kenny.
He can. He did it.
We spoke about the best of 7 series the Elite had with Death Triangle just a few months ago. Oh, wait a second. Nick. Joe! 450. Whoa!
Good God. Are you kidding?
So
Are you kidding?
The point I was trying to make was that the Death Triangle cut from a very similar cloth as the Elite, Don, whereas the House of Black, 3 completely different types of athletes.
Well, I was about to say that the momentum had shifted to the Elite, but that's over now. This big beast has taken control of this match.
Slow it down to the pace that the big guy likes. Business picks up.
And Brody's got a lot of experience. This man's held titles in 8 different promotions. This is not his first rodeo.
No, sir.
Oh, Malachi, just a pump kick. Multiple pump kicks to the face of Matt Jackson.
That's what the House of Black's good at, man. They will just, oh my God.
That's a lot of ink coming at you.
Candidly, Excalibur, I'm going to say I have not seen my guys get brutalized this hard, this early.
Man, it might not be done. I think the beating has just begun here by the House of Black.
And as we saw in that best of 7 series, the more aggressive, the more savage the battle becomes, that seems to take the Elite out of their comfort zone at times.
Well, I think pace. It's all about pace, Excalibur.
Well, reversal there by Nick Jackson, 2.
The faster the pace, the better that the Bucks and Kenny like it. That's their feel. They feel it.
Smart tagged in. Brody tagged himself in because he knew Matthews was in trouble.
And Nick Jackson had nobody to tag out to. Brody took advantage of that. The splash in the corner, then the big toss.
You notice how business picked up when Brody King got in this match? Changed things.
Yeah.
It changed things.
Well, you can see amongst all 3 members of the Elite, every time, to your point, that Brody's in there, there's a little bit of hesitation. They're trying to figure out how to go against him and take him down.
It's a tough matchup for us.
Right, exactly. Well said. That's my point.
Brody King up to his feet as Omega.
Kenny.
Trying to gain his footing on the top rope. He does.
Well, this Omega is fabulous.
That double axe handles right there. Those hammers.
Omega. Now the discus. Bullish hammer. And Brody King just absorbed all that contact.
God.
It's hard to believe how big this son of a bitch is.
Start to go downstairs, Excalibur.
Yeah, the basement drop kick. Coming over the top. Omega. Near leg is hooked in. Brody King able to kick out.
Yeah, taking out one of the wheels, one of the legs of Brody King was definitely smart by Kenny Omega to bring him down a tad to get some offense on him.
But again, we come back to the same conundrum. What do you do with this big son of a gun? How do you handle it?
I think you got to triple team him, JR.
Look at the power here by
Omega.
Really strong. I'm telling you. Look at that athleticism there.
Omega. Oh, but Brody King got the knees up.
It was a little pre-advertised.
John Woo drop kick from Buddy Matthews, and Omega's elbows struck both of the Young Bucks who were on the apron.
Yeah, inadvertently, he dropped his partners.
Gotta bring awareness at all times, even when you're on the apron, Jim Ross.
Things don't look good right now.
Oh, super kicks from Matthews and Malachi. Brody King. No!
Big move right
Shot
there.
to the back of the head.
That had to happen. That had to happen.
2 and no.
It don't matter how big you are, you get hit in the back of the beam like that. Good luck.
First time in this match, the big man is in trouble.
And Taz, to your point, the most damaging shots are the ones you never see coming. Brody King had no chance to anticipate that knee.
You can see King is not. Can he do this?
Look at the power here.
I don't know if that was smart by Kenny Omega. I got to be honest.
He's confident that he can lift this big guy.
A little ambitious there. A little bit.
Maybe Snapdragon.
And the throw I could see getting pulled off because his hips are already underneath King.
Well, there's some hits right there.
I'm telling you.
Short, fast-moving ink.
Short arm lariat. Brody King. 285 pounds of bad intentions.
Yeah, I think somebody's being generous. 285 might not touch him.
Tag made. Buddy Matthews now legal alongside Omega.
Now Malachi is legal.
Great in and out. Teamwork by the House of Black.
Creates confusion for your opponent when you do that.
But Nick pulls Omega down to earth. Matthews and King. Oh, what a kick! Oh, leaping knee strike.
And Matthews so athletic.
Nice switch right there. Overhook.
Well, Malachi
for that knee bar.
He rolls through. And he's got the arms figure forward through the knee.
Yeah, I thought he was going knee bar, but no. That's Matt. Yeah, that's Matt.
Matt Jackson drops the elbow.
Just in time, I might add.
Oh, God. You could hear that crack ring out through the Chase Center.
Super kick party right there.
Pair of super kicks. Got the big guy down.
Meteora from Buddy Matthews. Ooh. Super kick from Matt Jackson. And super kick on Malachi. A slice bread off the chest. But Malachi with the knee.
Good God, what impact. What impact.
Was a sick.
Stakes are high, fellas. The stakes are high.
Don, there are very few men walking this planet that can generate quite as much force on a knee strike as Kenny Omega. Malachi Black, I think, is one of them.
Might just be, you'll find, it's hard-pressed to find an athlete as explosive as Kenny, but you're right, Malachi looks fantastic.
And they have the momentum, I might suggest. They pronoun boy, meaning the House of Black.
They've had 70% of this match, Jim Ross.
Thanks, Don.
Those strikes, those quick hands of Malachi.
Malachi changed levels.
They take a cumulative effect, fellas. That volume, it's all a cumulative thing.
Oh, but the knee strike, Omega, he got drawn in by Malachi, but then answered to get
him there, I think, dude.
I think both men are rocked.
Malachi's not moving at all. Kenny's got some life left. Look at Black, though.
Caught him on the point of the chin, Taz.
Yeah, he did. The button area there.
Man, this has been physical. And nobody's gained enough momentum to really where we can remember the significance of it. Back and forth.
Back and forth. Julia Hart just grabbed the boot.
Oh, that little Jezebel.
Nick Jackson, but that momentary distraction alone. Brody King.
Look at that massive arm. Look at that
with the apron here. Look at this.
Nick Jackson just had it all with a super kick.
Saved. Thank God for brothers.
And that kick to the knee drops Brody down. The super kick catches Brody. King looking trigger.
Perfect timing there by Omega.
Yeah, it was. Very good timing.
Brody King wiped out. Malachi Black finally rising to his feet and using his feet to great effect.
Those kicks are toxic.
Here we go. Snap. Dragon suplex Malachi. His momentum carried him up to his feet, but you could tell just by body language he is dazed.
Oh yeah, you could just see. Look at Malachi, and Kenny's saying one more.
Man, these are the most devastating, amazingly executed offensive maneuvers that you can see.
Snapdragon was back.
Amazing.
Now Julia's on the apron again here.
Julia up, and Kenny Omega stops in his tracks.
Kenny's a gentleman.
He needs to ignore this.
Yeah.
Well, Malachi went for the back heel kick, but instead Omega thinking one-winged angel.
Kenny looking to win.
Slipped behind there.
Omega. Oh, the V-trigger. Julia Hart just got wiped out.
Inadvertently.
Back heel kick.
What a kick. Right to the face. There's the cover. Hart's got him.
If it weren't for Nick Jackson, we would have new World Trios champions.
Great teamwork for sure. This is bad now. All of House of Black in the ring, and Kenny's alone.
Yeah, they are sharks that smell the blood in the water.
It's a gang attack by 3 thugs.
Oh, Dante's Inferno. Malachi covers to Matt Jackson.
The last minute. Another half a second would be too late.
Yeah, that was a great save by Matt Jackson. Now both Bucks go flying into that guardrail. Oh, speaking of flying,
Great fly.
that's a 7-7-7 coming at you.
Brody King just sent Matt Jackson over the barricade. As Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King, they have Kenny Omega at a serious disadvantage.
Yeah, the end could very well be near. I don't think that's a big guess.
Yeah, I think we might be fixing to crown new Trios champion because Kenny got out of it.
How do you escape this from these 3 henchmen? They're smart, they're big, they're strong, and they got good leadership.
And they've used the 3-on-1 better than I've seen any Trios team do it so far. It's just been incredible.
But Kenny Omega, he just grabbed the boot. This is self-preservation on Omega. The Bucks land the super kick. Oh! Malachi goes down. Buddy Matthews goes down.
Those are some solid shots.
Oh, they're lining up Brody.
King, oh man, he got nailed. Brody King goes down. Omega, you can see he's still dazed.
There's life in the Elite. They're back in the hunt.
I thought they were done. They are back for sure. Uh-oh, here we go.
BTE trigger. Malachi Black goes down.
Those titles.
1, 2, no. Buddy Matthews there to break it up.
Great save.
Buddy in the nick of time for
Buddy,
his side.
great save by Matthews.
And Dan Matthews looks like a linebacker. Like a middle linebacker.
He's put together.
Oof. The Kamakiri rocks Matthews. And now Young Bucks thinking Meltzer driver perhaps. Malachi is up. Oh! What a counter by Matthews! Back heel kick.
Uh-oh. Oh, boy.
You can feel the air around the building.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Dante's Inferno!
Gonna get him.
Around the building.
1, 2, 3!
And we've got new Trios champions.
Now winners of this match. And new AEW World Trios champions, the House of Black.
That noise you heard was Don Callis just throwing down his headset.
Don's angry.
Wow, what a victory. What a battle by these 6 athletes.
Fellas, I've enjoyed it. Thanks for having me out here. And our great friend Tony Schiavone will be joining us soon.
All right, Jimbo, thank you, man. Great job as always.
Thanks, guys.
House of Black making history here tonight at the Chase Center. We have new AEW World Trios champion.
Excalibur, what a battle that was. The physicality was unbelievable, man. It was wild. And look at Kenny, he cannot believe it. Callis is consoling him. Brandon Cutler's got the Bucks there. These guys are gonna leave San Francisco without those trios titles.
Somewhat unthinkable. JR, thank you for joining us here tonight to kick off our broadcast. Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson, quite obviously heartbroken as we have crowned new AEW World Trios Champion.
Joined by Shivani is now joining us. Tony's here, and hey, you see that match? That was physical. We got new champs.
We have new trios champs, and how about the final burial match? Was that crazy or what?
Nuts.
What a program. What a pay-per-view we've had. It's been awesome.
And you know what, Tony? Only gets bigger from here. The AEW Women's World Championship is on the line next, and it will be in a three-way match. Jamie Hayter will be forced to defend against not only Saraya, but Ruby Soho. And that is coming your way right now as Revolution continues onward.
The following is a three-way match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Introducing the challengers first, being accompanied by Tony Storm from Norwich, England, Saraya.
Taz, who would have ever imagined even 6 months ago that Saraya would be back in a professional wrestling ring? Not even that, competing for a world championship after her struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely shocked everyone in the pro wrestling world, and the pro wrestling community for sure, and a lot of us here in AEW. But this is what? Ruby Soho. Here we go. Sorry, I got sidetracked.
Now, Ruby looks like she's ready for a fight, guys, doesn't she? Look at this.
She's always ready for a fight, but you're right. She definitely looks like she's amped up, and she should be. Great opportunity right now in this contest.
And Ruby Soho, she has successfully stayed clear of this fray, this rivalry between the homegrown stars of the AEW Women's Division and the outsiders, the freelancers, whatever you want to call them. The women that Saraya and Tony Storm that just looking down their noses at the entire locker room. Tony.
Yeah, we're talking about great stories. We're talking about Saraya. How about the story about Ruby Soho? Wasn't supposed to be in wrestling. Was supposed to be a waitress in her entire life. But she has fought, and she's in this match.
From Southampton, England, she is the AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter.
Jamie Hayter, the AEW Women's World Champion, representing the homegrown stars, not even just the AEW Women's Division, Taz, but of all of AEW. And Jamie Hayter, I mean, she is my champion, man.
Yeah, well, that's where I think a lot of our fan base, the AEW fan base, feels about Hayter. She is our champion for sure in this women's division. She's been great. She's excellent. For a second, I thought she was part of the old school Team Taz, but I digress.
You were going to say
someone had to say it. Come on. I'm friends with you.
I mean, we've seen it in the steamer trunk, Taz. You got that same jacket.
I actually like that jacket.
Well, who doesn't, right?
I was about to wear that back in the day in the football we did, but I digress. We had a orange.
Okay, you guys got a prediction? You got a pick here?
We got a pick now. We're gambling.
I'm going to say Saraya. I've said it the entire time.
All right, I'm going to say I feel that Hayter retains.
Okay, very good. Good call.
What about you, Excalibur? On the fence, Jones, or are you going to make a pick?
Well, I'm going to let you know that DraftKings is an official partner of AEW tonight. Anyone can play free for $25,000 in DraftKings Revolution AEW World Championship 60-minute Iron Man match pool. Download the DraftKings app. Use code AEW when you sign up and play free tonight.
As you can see, a lot of moving parts in this match. So you really have to keep your eyes peeled, and especially with Tony Storm and Dr. Britt Baker at ringside.
Well, no, you're right. And the thing is, so right there in the early goings, Hayter was building rapid momentum. Saraya, being someone with her experience, realized that and shut down that momentum and got Hayter out of the ring.
Ruby Soho just leaping in with the drop kick.
She landed hard on her own back with that drop kick, guys.
Yeah, Ruby Soho jarring her spine, but she's got to try to fight through the pain. She has the AEW Women's World Champion over the top of the barricade. Well, now she's got Saraya over the top of that barricade as well.
Well, see, I think this is a mistake. I think right now they had shelled Jamie Hayter. They had a chance to go 1-1, and Hayter could have lost the title without even being in the ring.
Ruby Soho diving off the barricade. You can see Saraya and Jamie Hayter, their heads struck the concrete.
All three ladies right out here in the first few rows. I love it. We're getting wild in San Francisco, baby. Everything's been nuts. What a great night thus far, man. It's been awesome.
It has, and a great crowd here at the Chase Center, just loving AEW.
Oh, big elbow strike by Saraya.
Live round.
And a crack in the jaw of Ruby Soho. Ruby and Saraya fighting through the crowd as Jamie Hayter and Taz in these three-way matches, the deck stacked against the champion.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to really be careful because you can lose your title without losing.
That's what I was talking about earlier, Taz.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you again because they had shoved Jamie Hayter on the outside, so it's Ruby and Saraya in the ring.
Oh, Ruby! Her throat colliding with the top of the barricade, and Saraya once again, a lot of force on those elbows, Taz.
Yeah, it was, and she's got to make sure you have to stay on top of someone like Jamie Hayter because Hayter's very tough, very strong, with experience. She's an excellent champion for a reason, and I think Saraya is well aware, hence why her offense has been really physical on her.
Jamie Hayter was crowned AEW Women's World Champion last November at Full Gear when she defeated Toni Storm. And since then, Hayter successfully defended that Women's World Championship against former champ Hikaru Shida at Dynamite. And she's also fended off Eliminator challenges from Emi Sakura and the Bunny. But now in this three-way match, as you mentioned, Taz, Jamie Hayter doesn't even have to be involved in the finish and could potentially lose her championship.
Yeah, it's big danger. And you know, the friendship with Dr. Britt Baker. Hold on, there's a cover here. Watch out.
Saraya.
I'm sure that Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter have had a lot of discussions about that. You know, just Jamie getting some advice or opinions as friendship and as a former champion as Britt Baker was. A great champion she was, so... Well, look at these knee strikes here by Saraya.
Dr. Britt Baker was a great champion. She is being content now just to stay on the sidelines to help out her friend Jamie Hayter, which, as you have seen, she doesn't need much help in the ring. She can do a lot.
Right, but having someone like Britt Baker, you know, kind of just give you some advice and you know, their friendship and stuff like that, their bond, working out together, stuff like that, it helps.
So Saraya said hard into the toes, and Hayter landing Saraya on the apron, and you see Toni Storm immediately coming to the side of Saraya. Saraya's history with neck injuries, Taz, not a secret. Oh, wait, Ruby Soho, though, the diving crossbody.
I think the momentum took her off, otherwise she could have got that cover, but so right, because Ruby's got some offense going here.
Yeah, she got the momentum, does Ruby right now, guys.
Wait, Ruby Soho drops Hayter down, the cover, and very close.
Smart, she snatched herself a quick rear shin lock and bring the champion down on the mat and try to wear down the bigger, stronger athlete.
Yeah, with that nasty fall that Saraya took, this is a one-on-one matchup right now, guys, obviously.
Yeah, well, hopefully Saraya's okay. Yeah. Max Calvin, because we saw Toni Storm one time.
Still attending to her. There you see on the left on that wide shot there.
Ruby Soho trying to take the oxygen out of the lungs of Jamie Hayter. We all know that Hayter hits hard, but if she can't breathe, she can't strike.
Absolutely.
Saraya, here she comes. Just go down there, get a breath or two, get back into it.
Look at Jamie Hayter with Ruby Soho on her back. Hayter was able to fight off Saraya.
That's her strength that we talked about on display right there.
Jamie Hayter. Elbow strikes for both opponents now. Ruby and Saraya stacked up in the corner. Lariat from Jamie Hayter.
Jamie Hayter is tremendous.
Look, she's going to go two for the price of one.
God.
So hard to do that. Just out of front headlocks. A lot of strength.
That is the raw power of Jamie Hayter.
You don't see that as much in the men's division either.
It's hard to do.
Double lariats. The cover on Saraya.
There you go.
Cover on Ruby.
Good plan. Good job.
I like it. I agree. It didn't work, but you know what? It's smart. She's trying to get that win and get the heck out of here with a title.
One down, can't kick out, do the other.
Jamie Hayter doing a great job trying to fight against the odds here in this AEW Women's World Championship three-way match.
Sometimes you got to be relentless. You know that, Shivani. You got to be relentless.
Oh, Saraya, not her intended target, but still. Oh, knee strike. And Hayter swing, left arm lariat. No, and Oh, wait, now Ruby Soho. Oh, a Saito suplex on Saraya.
Tough landing.
Man, how about that from Ruby Soho, the Saito suplex. There's the champ again.
The hate breaker.
Got to be careful, though. You can blow your own knee out with that. Yeah. Hopefully the champion's okay.
Yeah, that's a good call. You're right. Down hard on the knee. And I think Jamie's feeling it right now, like you talked about, Taz.
Yeah. All three ladies are down, though.
See her holding her knee right there, right knee.
She drove Ruby's body right on it.
And Ruby Soho, though, earlier in this match, landed that drop kick off the apron and jarred her body, her lower back, her hips on the floor. So that backbreaker will be paying extra dividends for Jamie Hayter. But
give all three women credit right here at Chavo. They have not held back from the opening bell. I mean, this has been high impact from the word go.
Yeah, and no shocker, right? I mean, the AEW Women's World Championship is at stake here, and Saraya's got pinball, I should say. Wow.
Stop. They're not going to stop.
Ruby Soho, Jamie Hayter, both women battering Saraya, and now the Haterade blocked by Ruby Soho. The kick to the knee, Ruby. The Rana to Hayter on her knees. Hayter got spiked. The cover, and
good kick out right there. So close was Ruby.
We have already seen one title change hands here tonight on our broadcast. We were on the verge of seeing a second. Ruby Soho, can she complete this? Can she get Jamie Hayter down? No.
Ruby's had a very good game plan in this, guys, and I think it's because she's kind of been in the middle. I mean, the issue has been between Hayter, really, and Saraya, and Ruby has played in the middle and has prospered for her.
Yeah, and I think that Ruby has played it smart, too. She's about to get superplexed, I think.
Look at her hanging on to the right arm there.
Wait, Saraya.
Whoa.
And a superplex, but Hayter got powerbombed. Saraya, the high stack.
Legs too strong that time by Jamie Hayter.
Saraya steps over. Ruby Soho is trapped.
Oh. The overhooks and the version of the legs are locked up, and watch out.
Oh, lariat! On target from the champion. Toni Storm up on the apron. Toni Storm eats a shot from Jamie Hayter.
She knew that lariat was lethal. She had to get up top for her partner.
Wasted Toni Storm. Oh my God, right on the head. That was bad.
And look at Britt Baker returning the favor.
Yeah, she is.
Buying Jamie Hayter some time. Saraya, oh, the elbow strike. Remember, it's a three-way match. There's no disqualifications, but destination unknown.
Champion.
No, Hayter at the last possible moment breaks it up.
Hayter saving her own title right there. She had no choice. She did the right thing.
I'm shocked she got up, Taz.
Yeah,
she had taken, man.
Me too.
Well, Ruby Soho with dealer's choice here.
Yeah, well, you see right now, looking in the face. Ruby just looking in the champion's face now, both going blow for blow, and be careful. Tony, I don't know if you want to do this if you're Ruby because of the size difference, you know?
I agree. I don't think you can go blow for blow with Jamie Hayter. I really don't.
Yeah, big power. Look at that, flipping her through.
Tried to no future, got it blocked. Boy, that foot found its mark.
Hayter.
That ripcord Hayter.
Oh! Connected on Saraya. Saraya got rocked. Ruby, the roll up. Hayter using those powerful legs to break free. The kick attempted. Hayter, the roll up. Ruby kicks out.
Good escape by Ruby.
Now the arms trapped, and Jamie Hayter's done it.
The winner of this match is still AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter.
Oh, watch out. Watch Toni Storm here.
As soon as the bell rang, Toni Storm wiped out Britt Baker on the floor, and now Storm raining down right hands on Jamie Hayter.
See the look of disappointment in the face of Ruby. She didn't get the title.
Yeah, very dejected, and I don't blame her. She wrestled a great match in this one. And now Saraya's helped up by Toni Storm. Here comes Britt Baker.
All three women wrestled a great match, but now Britt Baker trying to fight to defend her friend, the AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter.
And Ruby Soho remains in a corner. Look at her in the far there.
Yeah, torn again because we've seen this physicality and the hatred between.
She's going to make peace here, I hope.
She's going to make a decision.
Oh, whoa. Ruby sent Saraya out to the floor. Toni Storm goes after her.
You don't run this place. This is our home, bitches.
And I think Ruby Soho has finally chosen a side.
Definitely. How about that?
Wow. What? No future. Ruby Soho just wiped out Hayter.
I love it. That was great.
Destination unknown on Britt Baker.
Never saw that coming. Good for you, Ruby. Good for you.
What is she doing? Oh, Ruby just threw down a cameraman. Or excuse me, Toni just threw down a cameraman and smashed the floor kick.
That's going to cost a few bucks.
That's 6 figures right there, brother. They got the spray can. But
Ruby's taking the spray can.
Wow. Yeah, this is really... Ruby definitely made the decision.
Ruby Soho throwing her lot in with Saraya, in with Toni Storm. I can't believe what we just saw.
Well, it wasn't exactly like Ruby was an AEW original, let's be honest.
Well, no, you're right, but she had been here so long, she had seen what she was walking.
I kind of like what she did, but man, that was wild.
Ruby Soho stabbing Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter in the back. But still, at the end of the day, Jamie Hayter overcoming the odds and successfully retaining the AEW Women's World Championship here tonight. A great effort by all three competitors, but Toni just marred by what we saw from Ruby Soho just now.
We talk about the battle lines being drawn between the originals and the outsiders, so to speak. That line just got a little bit more defined, hasn't it?
Well, coming up next on Revolution, it's the Texas Death Match. Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page. Violence is guaranteed. And now let's take a look at how we got to this point.
I mean, if me and Hangman walk down a dark alley, who the do you think's coming out? You. No rules, no ref. One guy enters, one guy leaves. Who the do you think's coming out?
Our third match, I beat Jon Moxley's ass straight for 2 minutes, and at the very last second, he reached up, grabs my head, gets me through the old ball and chain pin, and manages to, I think he would agree, escape.
If you want to go down that road, Texas Death, all you gotta do is say the goddamn word.
I think that this is going to be almost a therapeutic moment for both of these guys at Revolution. A dangerous, bloody, brutal, therapeutic moment.
When you put me in a Texas death match, it will be the end of you.
It is not something to be proud of. It is not something to aspire to.
It's a match built for destruction.
But you are not the same animal as me.
I think this could be the scariest match we've ever seen in AEW.
Submission. Introducing first from Aaron's Creek, Virginia, weighing 229 pounds, Hangman Adam Page.
What a moment, man. Coming out the Ghost Riders in the sky for the Outlaws.
Hangman Adam Page knows he is walking into a war with Jon Moxley tonight.
Yeah, Hangman is pumped up, man. You can tell it. You see it in his eyes there a second ago.
All these red lights may be a sign of things to come. The color red.
Yeah, we might see some color red.
From Cincinnati, Ohio, weighing 231 pounds, Jon Moxley!
Jon Moxley typically very animated, very amped up when he walks through the tunnel, but that was a surprisingly calm walk, Taz.
It was. That's a good point, Excalibur. And I think that you go into something and you fall for a Texas death match. Listen, you're setting the table, you're setting the bar really high when you do that. You know there's going to be a lot of badass stuff going on, and you're in the middle of it.
I agree. He knows what he's in for. He really does. He knows his opponent very, very well.
Jon Moxley was the man that threw out the challenge for the Texas Death Match. The Texas Death Match has not always been good, historically speaking, for Jon Moxley. However, this is Hangman's... Oh, wait! Hangman! Just a haymaker as Moxley was coming through the barricades. And Jon Moxley, he did not see that coming, but he's fired back on a shot of his own.
I was curious to see who would have the home field advantage here in San Francisco, and it seems like they're a little bit behind Hangman, maybe a tad more than they are Mox, but don't matter, these guys are going.
Yeah, they're both very, very popular with the fans. I don't think there's any question because the fans can identify with both these guys. They love a fight. They don't give a damn. They'll take whatever it takes to win. And buddy, I'm telling you right now, Paul Turner's got his work cut out for him, the referee business.
Well, Tony, to that point, as of late, we've seen that the actions of the Blackpool Combat Club not always very popular with the fans.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of a fine line there between what the fans like and what they don't like.
And if you notice a couple of sides of the ring, I believe it's two sides of the ring, looking off from the monitor, there's barbed wire on those boards there. It's barbed wire boards, so and it's all legal in this thing here.
Moxley, he tried that lariat. That's how this rivalry all began. Moxley took Hangman Page out of action for nearly 3 months with a lariat just like that one that he missed.
Listen, we got to be careful. In my opinion, Shivani, if you're Hangman Page, don't get pulled into this physical striking game with Mox. He loves that.
Yeah, at least not early on, and I agree with that. Let's remind the fans that pinfalls do not count as far as winning and losing this match is concerned.
Yeah, we heard Justin Roberts say it at the top. It is knockout or submission. That is the only way to win a Texas death match.
You can't answer the 10 count.
Hangman got rocked, and Paul Turner immediately starting the 10 count. While Paul Turner counts, Moxley.
He's getting himself some barbed wire out there.
No time, buddy.
We saw Hangman Page, he wrapped his right hand in barbed wire. He opened up Jon Moxley. Now Moxley may be poised to do the same to Hangman Adam Page.
You got to really be careful. I've a little experience with barbed wire and wrestling a little bit, and it can slice your own hand up and catch a nerve and bleed it up. And oh God, he's going for the head.
You really are when you're using barbed wire. You're taking your own career into jeopardy.
There it is. They're warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, that barb driven into the head of Jon Moxley, and you can see he's raking it back and forth.
Oh, this is good. And he hurt his own hand that time as well. Like you talked about, Taz.
Yeah, exactly.
Hangman just driving the flat of his boot into the jaw of Jon Moxley. Moxley down in the corner. Hangman Page not finished with Moxley yet.
This is, again, Texas death match. And for those newer fans out there watching, maybe don't know a lot of history, Just because we're in San Francisco doesn't mean you can't do a Texas death match.
It's a style of match.
It's a style of match that's been everywhere. So here we have it.
Moxley up to his feet. Hangman wrapping the barbed wire around his boot.
Moxley can't even stand up.
Oh my God, Moxley's still. Yeah, he had shot. He split open there.
He had that barbed wire raked across his head by Hangman, and Moxley
stop it.
With the barbed wire around his foot.
Chest, his face.
But Hangman, he got his boot caught up in the barbed wire. That allowed Moxley to turn the tables. Now Moxley raining down right hands on Hangman Adam Page.
Trying to block those. That's what I think he's biting the head. Moxley is.
Yeah, here comes a 10 count.
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. He got up on his knees, hands and knees.
Moxley with that barbed wire knuckle duster. And right into the hand of Hangman Page.
Blood on the shoulder from his head, or did he get cut on the shoulder as well?
Who the hell knows? I'm sure his shoulder will be bleeding in a few minutes if it's not already.
Yeah. Strong breeze will make John Moxley bleed.
I agree. Well, you know, that happens when you've bled a lot, right?
That scar tissue is very thin.
It's always thin, yeah, it happens. Looks like Moxley's got something going on in that boot right there. I don't know what he's got.
Boy,
yeah, he's got a fork, a blade. I don't know what he's got. Yeah, no legal.
Yeah, that's a fork from John Moxley.
Where's the butcher when you need him?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. This is very Abdulish.
No doubt. We're laughing because we're sitting here. We're not in the ring with this maniac with a fork.
Double leg. As Hangman, he's trying to wrestle that fork out of the hands of John Moxley, and Moxley trapped him in the triangle.
Triangling him up right there.
Hangman trapped in the triangle, and Moxley pin crushing him.
That is graphic.
Oh, man, that's bad.
Oh, man. What?
Wow, look at this. Man, oh, man.
What a... Look at John Moxley.
Blood just splattered all over the place.
And Moxley just a running knee strike as well.
You know, we knew there would be blood. I don't know if we thought blood would be splattered like this about
I agree with you. I didn't expect that. I mean, definitely some... We knew it'd be gory. It's Texas Death.
And Moxley's not done.
On our tremendous countdown special ahead of Revolution, I speculated that these two men would not leave San Francisco the same after this Texas death match. And I take no satisfaction in the fact that those words seem to have come true, Tony.
We've seen both these men injure each other. Both these men send the other to the hospital during this rivalry we've seen over the past few months.
Well, maybe this what's happening is going to... They have to go to this other violent level for things to be settled, possibly. Maybe that'll...
They've taken this to a whole new level. A whole new level. A damn chair's wrapped in barbed wire.
I've seen some chairs wrapped in barbed wire. That's a lot about barbed wire. Damn.
It was October 18th, 2022. John Moxley, Hangman Page competing for the AEW World Championship. It was a Title Tuesday event. That was when Hangman Adam Page was hospitalized by John Moxley. That is when Hangman Adam Page was taken out of action for nearly 3 months by John Moxley. And that was just the start of this.
Whoa, saved himself, Mox did.
Oh, God! Hangman leaving a bloody imprint on the barbed wire.
Yeah, I spotted that also.
Not only a bloody imprint, I think he left some skin on that barbed wire.
That took crash and burn to a whole nother level, guys.
Oh, man.
Crash and bleed.
This past January, Hangman Adam Page returned to action. We were in the fabulous Kia Forum in Los Angeles.
Look at this, guys. Watch this.
Bam!
Holy smokes.
And Hangman Adam Page, he hit John Moxley with a shot that took Moxley out of action for 3 weeks. And, now. Oh, God, on that.
Single leg crab.
Single leg crab on the barbed wire.
His chest is going to be sliced.
The single leg crab, remember, it's knockout or submission as Hangman pulled off of the barbed wire chair, and now Moxley hammering down with the heel of his boot.
Yeah, see, John Moxley, he loves this. He's in his element right now. This is what Mox is about. People are horrified in the audience, and how can you blame them?
Hangman struggling to his feet. Jon Moxley with the chair, and
The fan was going, oh, with every blow. Come on.
February 1st of this year, the rubber match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. Jon Moxley used that three-quarter Nelson, Taz. He pinned Hangman Page, but after the match, neither man was left satisfied.
Absolutely. And he beat him with a middle school wrestling move, but it was effective. Now look at this.
Hangman tried to get up. He really couldn't. He kind of stumbled back down.
You know, 2 chairs in the ring by Mox, set up by side by side. Blood all over. Mox looks like he just performed surgery. I know. Blood all over him.
Jon Moxley performing surgery, but instead of using a scalpel, using barbed wire and a fork.
Yeah.
Look at this. The hard edge of those chairs.
He's gonna tie those chairs together with the barbed wire.
The fans can't believe what they're seeing. I'm telling you, both these men have been so resilient. They've sent each other to the hospital. But guys, we are seeing a whole new level between these two men here tonight. Something we've never seen.
Oh, what a counter here. What a counter by Hangman.
Yeah, he hoisted up Moxley. Desperation out of Hangman, but Moxley using those elbows, and now again the right hands.
Whole new level of violence. I don't think anybody here is surprised.
And then
the broadcast
Moxley
table.
biting at the head of Hangman Page. Wait, Hangman.
Oh my God. Oh God. Oh, watch out. Oh man. The chair's there.
The power bomb onto the chairs, wrapped in barbed wire, and Taz. That could have been a catastrophe. Somehow even worse for Moxley if Moxley's spine hit where the chairs were joined. Look, a glancing blow.
Exactly. Mox would have been split in half. And look at this again. Look at his impact. The chair just got wasted.
Now, in the left, you see the 10 count being administered to both guys. But finally, they're both up.
Moxley to his feet, but only by rolling out of the ring. Hangman, just a kick to the back of the head.
Open shot.
Notice how Moxley's posture changed. He dropped his hands as soon as that kick landed.
Yeah, it was shot right to the skull. Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
Look at the cuts on the Hangman's back. Look, I mean, you can't see him now.
Yeah, I saw it a second ago. You're right, though. Now what? What is Hangman? What is he doing here with this barbed wire?
These guys are figuring out new ways to use barbed wire.
Wrapping himself.
Tell you that.
Hangman Page wrapping his torso in barbed wire.
Look at that. See the cuts? That's the barbs digging into the back.
Moonsault! Hangman Page! Glory horror moonsault wrapped in barbed wire!
Oh, and he cut his torso with that as well. He's holding on. You see he's holding on.
Yeah, no shocker. You can see it right there. He's split right under his pec there, under his chest.
There's going to be some serious downtime, I think, with both these men after this. Man, they need to recoup.
If they survive.
Yeah, good call.
Paul Turner giving the 10 count to Moxley, who is struggling to get up to his feet to beat the count. There he does.
Moxley, man,
Yeah, you see now, whatever Hangman has in mind, just as if there's not enough weapons, and another chair out here. He's got it out here on the outside.
Well, you know, Chaz, as you know, in wrestling, in a regular wrestling match, sometimes you improvise with your offense.
Yeah.
He's improvising with violence here. He's improvising with...
Yeah, I've had experience using furniture as a weapon during a match. I've done it many times. Not much with barbed wire, but a little bit. But I've seen guys do it a lot.
Oh,
Moxley with the cutter.
That was great.
Just waiting on him, man. Just waiting on the Hangman.
And Taz, there are competitors that when they see their own blood, when they taste that iron in their mouth, they shrink. Jon Moxley, it makes him even more violent, more vicious.
It does something to you. Been there. You know, I'm telling you, and it does something to you when you feel that blood. And you're right, some guys have and do fall apart when they bleed. Neither of these guys, not just Mox.
Moxley still looking under the ring for something. Meanwhile, Hangman...
You can see those cuts all over Hangman Page's torso, underneath the left pec, as you identified, Taz, and it's all across the back as well.
God, this again, a whole new level in the back. He's got a chain, guys. He's got a chain. He had to go deep for that one.
Big ass chain. He's got a brick too. A brick.
A brick. A brick.
2 bricks.
A freaking brick.
Couple of bricks. He's got a big chain. What? Again, Texas death match. All legal.
I can't remember when I've ever seen a brick.
I've seen it. Okay. But it's rare. It's rare. And he's going to shatter his hand. He's going to shatter his hand.
Hangman. Oh, look at that!
God.
Oh!
That's it. Hand's got to be broken.
All those little bones in your knuckles. Just think about that.
Paul Turner giving the 10 count to Hangman. Now, Taz, if Hangman Page, if his right hand is shattered, even though the lariat hits with the rest of the arm, that still decreases the efficacy.
You can't make a fist. You can't bring the power on that buckshot lariat the same way you would have, you know.
You might be gun shy too because of too much pain.
That's very true.
John Moxley knows that. John Moxley knows exactly what he's doing. Oh! Oh my God! On the chain.
Dude, that was a perfectly executed pile driver on a gigantic steel chain.
Is there any part of Hangman's body that's exposed that hasn't been hit so far? Front side, sides, the back, the head.
This impact.
Top of the head.
The 10 count continues in the ring. Hangman up to his knees. Oh, Hangman drops. But it was enough to reset the count. Hangman. Oh, wait. Hangman's getting hog-tied with that chain.
Well, as a cowboy, he should be very familiar with this, but not on his own body.
And right across the cheekbone right there, clasping his hand with that S-grip, wearing him out. Oh, he's biting the hand he's got. He's biting his thumb.
That's a desperation move, but damn it, it's working.
And boom! Oh, Hangman a shot. And that one dropped Moxley. Even an open-handed palm strike, Taz, when delivered well, even with a potentially broken hand, can drop a competitor like Moxley.
Catch somebody on the button, on the jaw, but it might have motivated John Moxley here. What more can they think? What more violence can you think of here?
Well, he's thinking of something right now, Taz. I don't know what he's thinking of, but he's got something.
Oh, it's the barbed wire board.
Exactly.
Put it across the stairs.
Moxley making a barbed wire bridge.
Exactly, like a table, and trying to do some kind of offensive move to Hangman.
That hurts just looking at that.
You're not kidding.
You know, John Moxley, he's felt.
Oh, that hand that was crushed in the brick.
John Moxley has felt what it's like to crash through the barbed wire in a Texas death match.
I'm telling you guys, on that barbed wire wrapped around the chair, there's skin.
I think you're right, man. You can see there's something. I think it might be hair. You're right.
Wait, Moxley, he landed the pile driver on the chain already. Now thinking pile driver on the barbed wire chair. No.
You might be thinking dead eye.
Oh, wait, Moxley, look at the sleeper. Back drop suplex. Moxley up to his feet. Hangman, the lariat connects.
He had some momentum. He ate the suplex, Mox did, and then just got jacked with that clothesline.
The fans are applauding. I think they're applauding because both men were able to rise up for just a moment. And now you hear the chant of "This is awesome," and you're damn right it is. It's something else.
But Taz, as we talked about, that injury to Hangman's right hand, I think if that lariat was landed under better circumstances, Moxley might have gone out from that.
Oh! I think you're right, but that roaring forearm, another one.
Rolling elbow strikes. Oh, Moxley. The boot to the jaw of Hangman Adam Page. Moxley kicking at Hangman, and now Hangman caught Moxley, and
oh boy,
falling slam into the barbed wire covered chair.
God, that had a burn like, oh man.
And now Hangman.
Dead eye, guys. Dead eye.
He stuck his top of his head into the barbed wire.
And that was graphic. Oof.
Stuck it into the barbed wire. Oh man, I agree with the fans.
John Moxley's neck, head, face looks like it was in a blender. Look, man, oh man.
Hangman Page up to his feet with the assistance of the ropes. Moxley desperately struggling to try to beat the 10 count. Oh, Moxley dropped, his head dropped.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look at Mox.
Oh, Moxley, he was up, he beat the count. But
slipped what he did there.
Oh, Hangman. Oh, Moxley into the barbed wire.
He got bit again with his own weapon that he set up.
And did you see?
Look at a blood pouring. You gotta get him out of there. He's stuck. Let's take a look at this.
Watch when Moxley's eyes bug. He didn't realize at first what had happened, and there's that moment, the realization of the barbed wire piercing his skin sets
I think you nailed it, Excalibur. You're exactly on point.
He literally had to peel himself off that barbed wire. Peeled his skin off that barbed wire. Look at this.
Moxley breaks free.
The back of his head is split open too.
Paul Turner at 7, now 8. Moxley up. You can see Moxley.
He's up, yeah, he was up outside.
He was very unsteady when he did make it to his feet.
Hangman moving slowly, but he's moving with purpose.
He's got an idea. Hangman's got an idea.
Oh! Moxley. Very simple counter, Taz.
Yeah, you just vibrate those ropes when you hit them. Next thing you know, you land right there in your midsection, and now Mox. Oh, look at this double underhooks here.
Oh, the nails! And look at the trail! The trail on the back! But Hangman.
Moxley trash talking.
Bounce fair play. Look at his back.
Moxley.
God, this guy's just got to be careful here.
On the shoulders, but Moxley just hammered. Moxley, he grabbed the barbed wire from down below, and oh! No!
Oh, look at the ripping the skin off the back of Hangman.
Oh, but Hangman grinding the barbed wire into the face of John Moxley.
Well, I don't blame you, dude. Take a breather.
Yeah, I think Hangman's going to blast him. Oh, no, look at this.
No.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
He went head first, guys. He went head first.
And most of Hangman's body actually overshot. That's the only thing that stopped Hangman from getting completely in.
Let's take a look. Guys. This is horrible.
Head first.
Oh, look. Oh, my God.
It was, if Hangman had landed flush into the barbed wire, he may be completely trapped. But now Paul Turner.
That's a good call. Hangman was going head first. He tried to flip his body over so he wouldn't land on his head and still got caught with the...
Paul Turner at 8. 9.
Oh, that's it. Hangman's done.
Hangman's up. He's up.
Barely. Moxley says there's no way.
And how much heart and fortitude does that man Hangman Page have?
How much courage both men have being in this darn match.
Moxley King Kong Lariat.
Here we go again.
He said Mox had counted. He's done.
Taz, you know as well as anybody, there's times when you hit somebody with a shot and you know that's it.
Oh, you just know it. And that's exactly right. That's what Moxley, I think, feels here.
How about that overhead shot? Blood, chains, bricks, barbed wire, bent chairs.
Whoa, Hangman's up. He's got the fire in his eyes.
Oh, he woke up Hangman here.
Hangman sends Moxley into the corner. Oh, Moxley absorbed the contact. Oh, man. Landed a lariat of his own.
Oh, brother. Put it, I can see this coming.
Oh, he's going to go buckshot, guys.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Buckshot, no, underneath. Death Runner.
Oh, the bricks. He's got the bricks.
He's got the bricks.
That is definitely it.
You're right. That has got to be it. Here comes the count.
A depraved level of violence from John Moxley.
Well, his eyes are open and moving.
Yeah, but his body's not moving.
Halfway. himself up.
How is he doing this? Hangman Adam Page. Oh, now Moxley. The rear naked choke is locked in.
Got to get wrist control. You got to get your hands in there, Hangman, and stop that choke like that. Pull it up over your, towards your jaw.
Well, Moxley changes grips. He's the S grip, but when he adjusted, that's when Hangman got to his feet.
Yeah, but John's so good with submission, man. He ended up cinching it back in.
I believe in this match, going to the ropes not going to help you out at all.
No, it won't, and Hangman fades.
Yeah, there you go.
Might have choked him out.
Moxley taking a breather, but also he's got the chain in hand, I think, just in case Hangman somehow gets up.
Should he need it, you're right.
Yeah, he's got another game plan, but he's at 6 right now.
Moxley screaming, stay down.
Yeah, you just stay down, Hangman. I agree with Mox. Just stay down. Don't take any more.
He's up again.
God.
He's up again.
Each man's got one end of that chain.
Oh, Hangman drew him in with the chain.
That was a haymaker.
Hangman may have thrown everything he had left into that lariat. And now the bricks stacked under sides.
I don't know what we were expecting, but we won't forget this match.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God, no.
No. Moxley, he spotted those bricks, and now Hangman out to his feet.
Got his own rear choke here. Got that strong gable grip, and now using the chain. Again, this is all obviously illegal.
Hangman with the chain. He's wrapping around John Moxley.
Moxley was fighting for that chain that time with that right arm.
And low blow by Moxley just out of sheer desperation. But again, it's legal.
Darn right it's legal. Why not use it?
Yeah, I agree. Smart. I mean, not popular here with our live audience.
Yep.
Man, look at this. Man is just, he looks like he just fell out of an airplane.
Brick in the head of Moxley.
Knocked him out there.
Let's not forget the brick that Moxley introduced in the match from under the ring.
John Moxley wrapped in those chains. He looks like a modern incarnation of Bruiser Brody. But Hangman Page may be looking at Channel Stand the Lariat Hansen as Hangman shot Lariat.
With the chain on the neck. Oh!
And no!
Oh, God, this is dangerous.
Hangman with the chain wrapped around the neck of John Moxley.
Got him.
Moxley taps out.
The winner of this match, Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, my God, what did we just witness?
Taz, for John Moxley to tap out, I think he must have felt like his trachea was being crushed.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened. That giant chain was around his neck. And being hung, I mean, off this apron, I mean, he had no choice but to tap.
And remember, it was the lariat to the throat by Hangman Page on John Moxley that took Moxley out of action for 3 weeks. That same trachea.
You see, Yuta just ran out. He was seen him off camera and audio and check up. Look at this violence here. This was wild.
I mean, there were so many devices, forks. We talked about bricks being used, and of course the barbed wire was everywhere.
It was so much. Just heavy-duty stuff here.
Taz, once you get over the carnage, you got to tip your cap to both men, man.
Absolutely.
Yes. Look for the cap.
Rick, here comes the tap out.
Yeah, he was being choked out there.
That's so dangerous.
That is dangerous.
Hangman Adam Page, victorious in the Texas Death Match over John Moxley. Hangman, he won, but at what cost, Taz?
Yeah, I'm not sure if either of these men will be the same after this one. This was heavy-duty, just physical nastiness.
Well, from one intense rivalry to another, Wardlow is challenging Samoa Joe for the TNT Championship. But that is only a very small part of this story. Let's take a look.
Honestly, I was blank, man. I was numb.
As if it's not enough, Joe with those scissors in his hand.
He took the only thing that he knew
I had more of an emotional connection with than anything, and that was my head.
If you pull back on Joe just this much, you're in trouble.
I just never fathomed anyone taking it to that level.
Sometimes you can really push somebody into that mindset that you've got them shaken on the inside, but sometimes you get the other side of that where you now awaken that monster that's within them.
So there's nothing left he could do to hurt me.
Wardlow, at AEW Revolution, my friend, you will have a revelation that you stood in front of the one true king of television, and you were found wanting.
At Revolution, Joe, I am going to kill you.
The following contest at 4 ball with a 20-minute time limit is for the TNT Championship. Introducing the challenger from Cleveland, Ohio, weighing 277 pounds.
It was not long ago that Wardlow and Samoa Joe were a tag team, a successful tag team. But Taz, as is the nature of all tag teams, when you travel with another man, you're strategizing with another man, inevitably you get to personal conversations.
Absolutely, and you share things, you know, you're in the gym training, you guys are on the road together, you're grabbing breakfast at a hotel, you share things with that tag team partner, and that's what Wardlow did with Joe, and, well, Joe made a penny.
And his opponent from Huntington Beach, California, weighing 310 pounds, he is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion and the reigning and defending TNT Champion, the King of Television, Samoa Joe!
Samoa Joe, the TNT champion, but this match about so much more. And as we found out this past Wednesday night, whoever leaves the Chase Center tonight as TNT champion will have to face Powerhouse Hobbs, the man that won the Face of the Revolution ladder match this past Wednesday night at Dynamite. And that TNT Championship match will take place this coming Wednesday, Tony.
And now, I'm sorry, there it is, Hobbs, as you see watching on. Sorry, Shivani.
No, you're right, Taz. He is watching on from up in one of the suites here at the Chase Center. And a lot of confidence. Powerhouse Hobbs, of course, he won that in front of his hometown fans. And there goes Wardlow. I don't think Joe's surprised about this at all.
As soon as the bell rang, Wardlow charging forward. Joe grabbing Wardlow by the boots, dragging him to the outside, and Wardlow landing a tough flush right hand to him.
What you guys were talking about during the entrance of Wardlow was basically knowing about his father, about what the hair meant to him. And this was all premeditated by Joe. He even admitted to it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Wardlow too trusting, or is Samoa Joe just a different type of devious?
I think it's the other. I think it's the fact that Samoa Joe has been in this business a lot longer than Wardlow, and he kind of just sucked him in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with Shivani. I know Samoa Joe very well for a long time. Wait, watch Joe here. He can move.
Samoa Joe, the elbow, suicida. And that connected with the jaw of Wardlow.
Yeah, in my career, I've done business with Samoa Joe, and he's a devious guy. Take a look at the athleticism of this massive athlete.
You get that weight running, that speed, and launching. My goodness.
He's a physical beast for decades, is Samoa Joe.
That elbow is a technique inspired by Mitsuharu Misawa, one of the legends of Japanese professional wrestling. But Misawa, he was not an athlete the size of Samoa Joe. 300+ pounds, crashing through the ropes of that elbow, Taz, a completely different equation.
The different level and the speed built up by Joe. And again, he's got those quick hands, Joe. He's an expert in submission. He can beat you in so many ways.
He's only lost 2 matches since he's been in
Great job. Look at that, man. Great athleticism by the big Wardlow. Big man flying.
Shoulder being driven into the midsection. Wardlow
Wardlow spent over 130 days as a TNT champion with 7 title defenses. If he can capture that title tonight, we could be on a reign of terror again by Wardlow. But that's a tall task, even though he has the advantage right now.
Wardlow looking to become the 2-time TNT champion, but also exact some amount of revenge on Samoa Joe as Wardlow raining down those elbow strikes.
Yeah, Excalibur, to your point, I think he needs to kind of rein in, if you will, his emotions a little bit. I get it. He's upset, he's mad, but his want is to be the champion.
Oh, snap!
Yeah, and off of that point that you just made, Tony, the thing is, with someone like Joe, if you make a mistake, you screw up because of your emotions are too much ahead of you, Joe will catch you and beat you quick.
Damn right he will.
Oh, Wardlow just dropping the elbow on Samoa Joe. Not an attack you often see from Wardlow, but
it worked though.
A vicious and effective one.
Absolutely. And Wardlow, he's trying to game plan his next offense here. Can't wait too long with someone like Samoa Joe. And again, you're trying to grab that TNT championship, earn that title.
And remember the man looming large over this match, Powerhouse Hobbs. He will face the winner of this match for the TNT championship this Wednesday night at Dynamite Live from Sacramento.
Yeah, you don't see Joe beat up, and there's Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs that was mentioned right there. You don't see Samoa Joe get worn down much by anybody, so Wardlow's looking good right here.
DraftKings is official partner of AEW, and tonight anyone can play free for $25,000 in DraftKings Revolution Main Event Match Pool. Download the DraftKings app, use code AEW when you sign up, and play free tonight. Joe not out of this one. Oh, the front leg sweep.
Love that.
Yeah, clipping the knees of Wardlow.
Shivani shows you how quick the feet are of a man as big as Joe.
Yeah, he is so quick. He was up in the clutches of Wardlow just like 5 seconds before that. Got out of it, leg sweep, quickness, and again, going to one point of attack.
Yeah, wearing down a knee. And Excalibur, as you know, there's not much that you can do to Joe that hasn't been done to him before.
No, or that he's done to himself. He's a huge risk taker for a man of his size.
He was, yeah. Or is at times, I should say. That elbow right across the head, those quick hands. And if you're Wardlow, you cannot let Joe get control of this contest, or you're not going to leave here with that TNT title.
Wardlow reversing Joe into the corner.
Oh, man, that was impactful.
That was from a man, an all-man.
Hobbs even liked it.
Yeah, he's smiling, buddy, but
Samoa Joe.
Guys, I think we can safely say that we've had some of our greatest matches. This is our 4th Revolution. Some memorable moments in the last 4 Revolutions, counting this one.
Oh, this has been an awesome show. We're not even done. I mean, this has been great. Everything's just been awesome on Revolution.
Revolution has never disappointed, ever.
Yeah, we still have the 4-way match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship and our main event, the 60-minute Iron Man match. MJF, Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Championship.
Can't wait for that. And the tag titles. And look at these 2 men here going punch for punch.
Joe, man, that kick just crumbled Wardlow.
Sure did. Powerful round kicks. And now leg lacing here, clasping underneath the calf, which pulls your patella, your kneecap up.
And not only that, if you
now a heel hook. See that?
Yeah, but
Wardlow back to that camera shot.
Wardlow forced to grab the rope, and he was barking at the referee to make Samoa Joe let go.
Well, it was quickness, smart, I should say, by Wardlow to get to that rope because that heel hook was coming in heavy. We saw Joe clasping it, but Wardlow did grab that rope, which was smart.
Joe, those jabs. Wardlow.
He's absorbing those jabs. See, he's up on his feet.
Wardlow up to his feet and the spine buster on Joe.
Wardlow, he's a big intensity guy. He feeds off of his own intensity. I respect that. I like that in a man. So a lot of times when you like that, look at the power here, man.
Wardlow, even on that bad leg, gets Joe up. The F10 from Wardlow.
Not many people get Joe up like that.
And dump him.
Yeah, and dump him.
And now Wardlow maybe thinking senton. Wardlow gets his footing. Yes! Son Atomico!
Can he get it? Can he get it?
Wardlow, 2, and no! Joe kicking out.
Joe popping that shoulder up right there. Mark of a real champion. When you're in bad shape, you're about to lose. Let's take a look at the athleticism of this massive athlete named Wardlow.
It was on target, Taz, but it takes more than that to keep Joe down. Easy to say now when he popped up, but I really thought.
Wardlow, he reared back for that lariat, but Joe now trying to make the challenger go to sleep. Wardlow staggering. Joe drags him down.
Those legs in. Wardlow might be done here.
And Wardlow's left arm is trapped too.
Got him.
Wardlow, oh, he's grabbing at the wrist of Joe. He's
smart.
Taking some of that pressure off, but not all of it, Taz.
Yeah, you got to try and turn your thumb out to pull his hand and wrist off your throat.
Yeah, but it's that big bicep against the side of the throat, right?
Big, exactly. Yeah, big, thick, strong guy.
Wardlow reaching, but his hand, you can see his hand is drooping.
He's fading here, even though he's in a rope. Wardlow's fading.
That's it, man.
No, Wardlow's still in this.
Just got to scoot your hips. Got to scoot your hips. There, you see his hips?
Just break the plane.
There you go. When you scoop your hips, scoot, I should say, your body gets to that bottom rope.
A surge of energy from Wardlow, getting to the bottom rope to force the break, Tony.
And obviously some disappointment. You can see that Joe slammed his hand on the mat. Now he's got to rethink his strategy, man. I think he's surprised that Wardlow got out of that.
I think you're right, but I also think, knowing Joe, he's processing that fast, and he's got something devious in mind.
Yeah, from Samoa Joe, an athlete of his size, a tremendously high pro wrestling IQ. But now Joe, the lateral press, Wardlow fires that shoulder up off the mat.
Forced that. He just drove. Joe drove Wardlow. Man, and Hobbs is looking on like, wherever it is, I got him come Wednesday.
Yeah, he's cool looking, isn't he? He's ready to go, brother. And this is going to be a fight, and that's going to be another one, a big one.
Yeah, an unenviable task for whoever walks out of Revolution as the TNT champion. Joe thinking muscle buster on Wardlow.
Yeah, basically, we got 3 days to heal up. Sacramento's right around the corner.
Thudding chop.
This is going to be a loud thud.
I think he's going to skip.
Right, Wardlow.
He had his body. Oh, look at power.
Power bomb on Samoa Joe.
A loud thud. That was. Oh, look at that.
Wardlow turns Joe over, but Joe. A haymaker lariat.
Well, Wardlow wanted a power bomb. That's why he rolled him up like that.
And Joe knows almost better than anybody what the prelude to the Powerbomb Symphony looks like.
Bingo. Joe through his own symphony. And I'll tell you, man, he exploded with that clothesline, did Joe.
Yeah, you're right, Taz. He just pushed off those powerful legs and met him.
Samoa Joe, maybe the Powerbomb Symphony of his own.
I think you're right, Escalver. That's what he's doing. Here we go. Oh.
Wardlow escapes. Headbutt. Wardlow. Oh, Dragon Showdown.
Got his own rear choke in here.
This is not typically Wardlow's forte, but he's trying to put Joe to sleep.
Got the hold in right, got the legs in, the grapevines are in. Wardlow's got him in a great spot here.
It may not be his forte, but when you got powerful arms like that, why not try to use it?
But he's also using proper technique, and he's going to get the win here.
He did it!
Choked him out. You could see it. He had him. We got a new champ.
The winner of this match.
Wow.
And new TNT champion,
I cannot believe I just saw Wardlow put Samoa Joe to sleep with Joe's own sleeper, Taz.
After Joe tried the symphony on him, man, who would have thunk it? He locked in his own choke. Wow, great job by Wardlow.
We know that this means on Wednesday it will be Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs with the TNT Championship on the line. Tony, this could potentially be the shortest reign of any TNT champion yet.
You're right, 3 days. He's looking right at Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
Looks right at him.
Those two big bulls are going to lock horns in Sacramento this Wednesday on Dynamite. 3 days, you heard Hobbs.
I think we need to also reference the fact that the first thing that Wardlow did was point up upstairs to his father. Obviously, a very emotional night for him, but you can't rest, guys. You can't rest as a champ.
No rest for Wardlow. Oh, not when someone like Hobbs is lurking and ready to get you. That's going to go down, like we said, in 3 days in Sacramento on Dynamite. It's going to be wild, man.
3 days' time, the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. We know that Wardlow will put his newly won TNT Championship on the line against Powerhouse Hobbs, the face of the Revolution. But the title matches continue here tonight. And this time, it'll be the AEW World Tag Team Championship on the line in a 4-way match. Can the Guns retain with the deck stacked against them against Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, the former champions, the Acclaim, or against Danhausen and the AEW All-Atlantic Champion, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy?
Approaching the ring from Orlando, Florida. At a combined weight of 425 pounds, they are the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Austin and Colton, the Guns.
Traditionally, Dash, champions enter last, but it's the champion's prerogative to pick where they come out in the announcement order. And the Guns, I think they want to show everyone that they are the focal point, not just this match, but the entire tag team division.
You're right, and I kind of like what the Guns did. I like them coming out first and setting the table, saying we're the guys you have to beat.
They are brats who just want attention.
No, they're not brats. They're the World Tag Team Champions.
Brats.
No, they're not brats.
And the challengers first, being accompanied by Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, the team of Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett.
What a sartorial collection here on display as Sanjay Dutt, you see that Golden Globe.
They have an oracle on or no? It's a pencil this way. I think they had an oracle. It's not an oracle. What do you call the thing on the eye? A monocle. Monocle, oracle. Oracle was where the Warriors used to play, but now they play the Chase in Oakland.
Okay.
Glad we cleared all that.
We cleared it up.
Got a monocle.
I do have to say this for Sanjay. At least he doesn't have that suit he had on during 0 hours.
Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, 2 Wednesdays ago at Dynamite, punched their ticket to this match.
Next from wherever and weighing a real lot, the team of Danhausen and the AEW All-Atlantic Champion, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy.
Okay, Danhausen is trying to dress up like Orange Cassidy.
And Orange Cassidy in the jet black.
Yeah.
It's rare you see someone wearing sunglasses while they're wearing face paint. That's a rare thing.
The AEW All-Atlantic Champion Orange Cassidy and Danhausen winning the...
Well, if you are right now, if you are Danhausen and Orange Cassidy, you realize
Orange Cassidy, the hottest singles wrestler in AEW, a tremendous winning streak, now has a chance to become one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions.
The Acclaim, accompanied by Daddy Ass, the Acclaim.
Yo! Listen!
Everybody saying that they wanna be acclaimed.
The Acclaim about to get the crowd open in San Fran, but we about to go Oakland. In the Golden State, giving golden showers. Ass boys got the belts, but you know it's ours. Y'all are just the weakest champs, looking like a single mom in your cheetah pants. Y'all are a-holes with some beat talent. Hey, yo, Jeff, man, you forgot your C. Alice.
Whoa, what the? Sit down, Shivani.
San Francisco!
Jarrett. Triple J, as they're sometimes known, won the Tag Team Battle Royale 2 Wednesdays ago at Dynamite. Danhausen and Orange Cassidy winning the Casino Tag Team Royale this past Wednesday at Dynamite after the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, were taken out by the Guns and the Firm.
Before this match gets underway, that person that had that San Francisco Giant logo with scissor fingers, kudos to you. That's
pretty creative.
That was very creative. All right, here we go, man.
Greatest fans in the world are right here in All Elite Wrestling.
Yep, you are right, Excalibur, again. And you are right again.
Jarrett just told Orange Cassidy, no, don't put your hands in your pockets. I'm not playing that game.
Jarrett ducked under the collar elbow tie-up attempt, and now we're struggling from Double J. Orange Cassidy not impressed. He knows just how to get under somebody's skin, and he's not going to let Jeff Jarrett do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Orange Cassidy was too sharp for that. And as you said, he has been on a roll. Orange Cassidy has been red hot. Red hot. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I like that.
Jarrett overcommits. Orange Cassidy, dropkick, takes down Jeff Jarrett. Orange up to his feet.
Whoa, watch out, that backdrop. Another one
for Lethal.
The hands are still in the pockets.
Whoa! The specter of that orange punch made Jeff Jarrett back down. Danhausen now legal. Sends Orange into the corner. Orange still making progress as Danhausen. The lariats.
Oh, this is some entertaining stuff, guys.
It takes a while, but it'll get there.
Yeah.
Lethal sent out, and
watch out from behind.
Jeff Jarrett brings Jay Lethal back down to earth. Triple J.
So if I'm the Guns, I want to get in there, man. They could lose the belt after even being in.
Exactly. They don't have to be pinned or submitted to lose those titles.
That's right.
Danhausen. Work on Rana, takes down Jay Lethal. Danhausen goes underneath. Northern Lights suplex. 2 and no. Jeff Jarrett breaking up the pinning predicament.
This is something you never thought you'd see. Jeff Jarrett in the ring with Danhausen. I thought I'd seen it my whole life. I did.
Jarrett did it.
I meant like this past week. I meant like maybe a while ago. Now, Colton really wearing out.
Colton Gunn, one half. The AEW World Tag Team Champions. The Guns defeated the Acclaimed, but Tony, the Guns stole the AEW World Tag Team Championship.
Which in my mind, and I know the Guns are in the formative years of their career, I think it would be the only way that they could
cover 2, and Danhausen able to kick out.
They would have to steal him to win.
Well, are you crazy? The Guns are not good enough to just beat the Acclaimed.
They proved they weren't
beat them fair and square.
They didn't have to. They took a shortcut because maybe they felt like it. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, listen, I'm not denying how great the Guns are going to be.
The team.
They're just kids, though.
They're not just kids. They're grown men, and you say they're going to be. They're already the tag team champions. What more do you have to have them do, bro?
You have to have them win it fair and square.
While you two were bickering, Orange Cassidy got the tag. He's the legal man and goes over the top, wipes out Colton Gunn. Austin, swing and a miss. Orange DDT.
Here comes Orange Cassidy.
He's not done.
Orange, the tope, sends Colton into the barricade.
Austin.
And could be an orange punch.
He swung.
No, Austin Gunn tagged out to Jay Lethal.
That was smart by Austin. I love it.
That was smart because he could have been pinned, but now they are not in the ring again.
Well, but still the Guns couldn't lose the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Play no involvement in the finish.
Yep. Watch out. Jay Lethal, one of the great veterans in our sport. Boom.
Lethal combination.
Great job by Jay, man. Excellent.
Jay Lethal is something else, guys.
Yeah, tremendous competitor for many years. World traveler, so successful.
And Orange Cassidy, stun dog millionaire, big counter. And Max Caster, one half of the former AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Acclaimed, makes the tag. The Acclaimed seeing their first legal action of this match.
Great teamwork already by the Acclaimed.
Elbow Solid strike to the jaw. Jeff Jarrett and...
Oh, what the hell, Sanjay? Sanjay, what is Sanjay? Get out of there! What are you doing?
It's a four-way match. There's no disqualifications, and Sanjay Dutt
fell out of his ear.
Yeah, baby. I'm all for this. I'm all for this.
Bowens. Sesame Timbers.
Man, big Yahtzee right there.
Sanjay just flopping around like a fish on the outside. Yeah, baby.
Shut down there, yeah.
That was a good move by the Guns, man.
Guns going after the former champs.
Get them while they're scissoring, right? Not a bad move at all by the Guns.
They're distracted, celebrating, and jumping.
Chant of Ass Boys raining down.
They're not Ass Boys. They're the champions, damn it.
Well,
mutually exclusive.
I think the fans were saying Ass Boys.
Jeff Jarrett.
Jarrett, the master man. And you know what? Jeff Jarrett has been in wrestling for a long time. He still looks great, doesn't he?
He's in great shape. There's no doubt about it.
Jarrett. Leg sweep on Bowens.
Savvy, buddy.
Oh, very savvy. Jeff has been there, done that. He knows, man. He's been all over the world and succeeded everywhere.
Jeff Jarrett.
A lot of respect for Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett just less than a month shy of his 37th anniversary of his first match in professional wrestling.
How about that?
37 years.
We got guys in the match that are not 37 years old. Several of them.
That's right. That says a lot. That number says it all, I think, about Jeff Jarrett. Oh, man, right now the Guns looking good. Look at this.
Yeah. Wow. Way to go, Guns. There you go.
Collides Austin. Looking for the cover. Shoot.
Man, I'll tell you. Good job right there by the Guns.
Yeah, you know what that shows me, Taz? That shows me the Guns don't have to resort to cheating to win a match.
They don't, but sometimes in life you have to cheat. It's fun.
It's fun.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, when successful, maybe... No, forget it.
Okay, that's all right. Bowens is in trouble. He's getting that delayed vertical suplex, Shivani. Yeah. And Austin showing a lot of power right there.
Look at that. They're working together like they talked about, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
This agreement between the Guns and Triple J.
Yeah, there was the agreement that they talked about.
Look at this, a four-way struck Jones. I love it. A little mock scissor action. Oh, wait. Bowen's not having it.
Yeah, but Bowens got up between four men, in the midst of four men.
The Guns overwhelming Anthony Bowens. The tag made out to Jeff Jarrett. Seems like the plan for the Guns and Triple J wear down the former champs, the Acclaimed, Taz.
Yeah, and it's that backfired right there for Triple J.
Tag made. Max Caster now legal. Lariats all around.
Oh, good quickness by Max Caster there. Ooh, what a backhand.
Backhand thrust, kick. Connects with the jaw of Jeff Jarrett.
I have a question. What's happened to Danhausen and Orange Cassidy? I mean, they were laid out and they are still on the floor.
They certainly are, but Max Caster panned that no mind.
He's pulled the straps down. He's not wearing straps. I'm impressed.
Max Caster, no.
Good save right there by Jarrett. Again, if that would have happened, obviously the Guns would have lost those titles. Caster and Bowens would have got him back.
The stroke attempted, no. Jarrett sent in. Oh, Jay Lethal.
Boy, that was on target.
Yeah, Caster's hands were on Jay Lethal. He couldn't protect himself.
Slow it back, hit that apron.
Oh, the Guns! Guns just turned.
Yeah.
On Jarrett and Lethal.
So much for the alliance.
Uh-oh. 1 in a billion. Satnam Singh.
Oh, Lord. Ooh.
Oh, my God. He's just a ginormous man.
Turn on my friends, will you?
Satnam Singh sending the Guns crashing to the outside.
Oh, Danhausen is up. And the fans are up with him.
He's too big to curse.
No one's too big to curse.
Enter the idiot.
Danhausen breaking the pencil.
Oh, Sanjay's pissed. Oh, he just got lit up.
Uh-oh.
Nope.
Oh! Punch! Oh!
In the low punch. Great teamwork. Uh-oh. That he is! That he is! That he is!
A famous
baby! Oh.
You owe me a drink. That's a great one.
Oh! The low blow to Dad. What the hell?
This is one entertaining match, guys.
Double low blows by the Guns on their own father.
What kind of family is that?
The Acclaimed up to their feet, taking out the Guns. And Austin over the top. Colton Gunn isolated.
Yeah, Colton. Yeah, you're right. He's singled out.
Back elbows. Combination from Bowens. Colton very unsteady. Caster. Bowens. Ooh, what a knee strike.
Tell you what, Colton done. That was some shot.
Austin charges in. The arrival.
Here comes the mic drop. We're going to have new champions. Here comes
Mike. Dropped by Caster.
You're right, Tony. New champs.
2. No.
Saved.
Great save right there by Colton.
Colton Gunn sending Anthony Bowens into the pinfall to break it up.
Oh man, this is what a night. Oh, we've seen a little bit of everything.
Rolling elbow strike by Anthony Bowens. Colton Gunn. No, Colton turns it around on Bowens.
There goes Bowens.
Jeff Jarrett sends Austin. Oh wait.
Uh-oh.
Jarrett's the legal man.
He hates Caster's guts too. Oh, he's gonna blast Max Caster. Platinum Max is in trouble.
Jeff Jarrett. Oh no. Boot by Caster. Caster has a guitar.
Uh-oh. Can't do it. Aubrey said no.
Aubrey Edwards trying to plead with Max Caster. Aubrey.
Yeah, they may do her, but she did the right thing.
Wait a minute. Oh, the Golden Globe.
Oh, wow.
And Jeff Jarrett. Stroke. The stroke.
They're your new champs right there.
I can't believe this is gonna happen.
1, 2, and no!
How about the perseverance of Max Caster?
Great kick out by Caster.
Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, both men apoplectic. They thought.
Whoa, he better watch that. He's gonna get himself disqualified and fined. You gotta be careful there.
That's not good on many levels.
Look at Aubrey Edwards.
Yeah, she's not one to put.
No.
There's a tag. I think Austin
got the blind tag. And Jarrett thrown onto Lethal and Danhausen. He got tagged in by Caster. Danhausen, this is going to do it. Austin charges in. German suplex by Danhausen.
He's dropped the elbow pad.
Austin's in trouble here.
And not just because of the curse. Danhausen, one for the pump kick. They got him. Oh, the 310 to Yuma. 1, 2, 3.
They
Winners of this match and still AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Guns.
Colton and Austin Gunn overcoming the odds, retaining the AEW World Tag Team Championship. Taz, walk us through what we just witnessed, because the Guns somehow, some way, by hook and by crook, retaining the title.
Yeah, it was just great timing they had. Danhausen singled out, hit it, done. I mean, listen, you can't discredit these men as the World Tag Team Champions. They pulled it off legal as heck right there. Super impressed, happy for the Guns.
Let's go down to the remarkable Renee Paquette.
Austin Colton, congratulations on retaining the AEW Tag Team Championships. How do you guys feel after that victory?
I just have one question. Who's an ass boy
demand respect. We beat FTR. We beat The Acclaim. We beat Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett. We are the best tag team in the world.
No way. Come on. Really? 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 Are they here?
Look at the eyes of Austin.
Well, the Guns, I mean, they've been mocking FTR. Maybe this is just another part of the joke.
No, that's after they're here.
Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, they are back in AEW. And they look like they mean business.
Yeah, look at that. Their target right now. Wow.
Dax and
here we go.
Hit the ring. And now things just breaking down as FTR back on the scene here in AEW.
I love it. No talking, no nothing. Just going at it.
Absolutely.
I feel for the Guns. They just went through a damn battle.
Cash raining down right hands, and now the pile driver, the spike pile driver from FTR.
Wow. Looks like Dax got popped in the eye or something.
Fire machine! FTR with an emphatic statement for our AEW World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, you're right, Dax is bleeding. He doesn't give a damn right now, does he?
Yeah, no, they were those guys with throwing hands, exchanging. What a reaction here for FTR.
Oh, he's picking up a belt. There you go. Now that looks right to me.
Hey, these guys win championships on their days off, man.
They are former AEW World Tag Team Champions. Will FTR be future World Champions here in All Elite Wrestling? Wow, the Guns retain, but FTR bursting back onto the scene here in AEW.
I didn't even know they were here. I didn't even know. Backstage all day. I didn't see them at all.
Not at all backstage.
No clue. Shocked everyone showing up here. When I heard that music play, I thought it was like a joke by the Guns, but no joke. FTR exploding back on the scene here in AEW in an impactful fashion for sure.
Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, back and with the AEW World Tag Team Championship in their sights.
Absolutely, man. Good to have them back.
Well, right now, we have just one more match left, and it is for the AEW World Championship, and for the first time, that championship will be on the line in a 60-minute Iron Man match. Whoever scores the most falls within 60 minutes will win the match. Falls will be decided by pinfall, disqualification, counters, or submission. No rest between falls. Action will resume immediately after a fall has ended. It will be MJF looking to defend against the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, who will be the top man in all of AEW.
For weeks, I've been listening to you come out here and say all these different reasons why you hate me. You hate me because people respect me and you think you deserve that respect. You hate me because some people call me the best wrestler in the world, and as AEW champion, you think you deserve that. He hates me because I have a wonderful wife, I have wonderful kids, and he thinks he deserves that. You have taken every shortcut to become AEW World Champion. You haven't fought for that. I talk about fighting for your dreams. Do you know what my new dream is? Since I've been here, it's to become
best wrestler of his generation, arguably one of the best wrestlers ever, a man who has won championships everywhere he has gone, except for All Elite Wrestling. Does that change tonight?
Well, as they say, that remains to be seen, but I'll tell you this. Regarding this 60-minute Iron Man match, Giovanni Danielson is built for this.
Yes.
This is what he loves. This is, if you told him to go out there and wrestle for 4 hours, he would do it.
He's the one that threw it out originally.
That's right, he did.
That's right, because he knows it's his type of match. But let's also not forget what that shoulder has been through, and you can see it taped up.
Yeah, but he looks to be a little leaner.
Yeah, he does.
Which is smart, because he probably amped up his cardio before going into this contest.
Music apropos for a terrible human being. I think you would agree. Hey, Taz, he looks ready, doesn't he?
Oh, he's ready. I talked to Max yesterday, not today. He's really been in the zone, really training really hard for many, many weeks for this matchup.
And let's go down to Justin Roberts for the introductions.
San Francisco, California, your Revolution main event is a 60-minute Iron Man match for the All Elite Wrestling World Championship. Introducing the challenger from Aberdeen, Washington, weighing 197 pounds, the American Dragon, Ryan Danielson. And his opponent, from Plainview, Long Island, New York, weighing 226 pounds, he is the All Elite Wrestling World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF.
Wow, does he look in great shape?
Yeah, definitely.
Smokes.
He's busted his ass, you know, and he's He looks amazing. He's worked really hard.
But did you see how he dropped the belt there? Maybe some nerves.
A little bit. That's a good observation by you, Excalibur.
I don't think there's got to be.
But off of Excalibur's point, though, Tony, I don't think that's good. I do, in my professional opinion. You have to. You're going to be in this thing. That's what it's all about, that gorgeous world title.
Well, the old cliche is cat that ate the canary, and that's exactly the way Bryan Danielson has looked the entire time that Max has walked to the ring.
You mentioned the training regimen of MJF. Bryan Danielson training extremely hard as well. The bell has rung, and the third man in the ring, Bryce Remsburg. He's been training his ass off as well.
Yeah, no, that's true.
This match guaranteed to go 60 minutes.
I want to say this before these guys touch here. You know, a moment ago we had a close-up view of Danielson's face and one of MJF's face. One man looked like he was pressing a little bit. The other one didn't, just by their eyes. And I think that's important for MJF not to do that. He's intense, but he's got to stay poised because his opponent is not going to stress. And that's so important in a long match.
Taz and Excalibur, the fans are ready, aren't they? They were on their feet after the bell sounded, ready for this one.
And this now, you just, right away, you could see I can see what Danielson's trying to do. He wants to bait him in to wrestle. He wants to bait him into his place. He's playing with him, smiling at him, laughing at him. And that's smart. Like it or not, I think that's smart what MJF did.
No, and I agree with that. I do.
You know, we talked about it a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, Taz, that MJF, for as disgusted as we so often are with MJF, our AEW World Champion, the man that represents this company, he's an incredible wrestler. I hate to say that, but he's incredible.
He absolutely is the world champion for a reason. It's not just his great verbal skills. It's not just how much people hate him. It's a lot to do with what he can do between the ropes.
That said, MJF has never been in this position before. MJF's longest match in his entire career was just a shade over 38 minutes. Bryan Danielson has wrestled 60 minutes on numerous occasions. He has wrestled 74 minutes in the past. Bryan Danielson has been here before. He knows how to pace himself.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I mean, it's not just that he's been there before, but the pacing concept. Here's a traditional professional wrestling bow and arrow.
Remember, it's pinfall or submission.
Or count out, right?
Count out, disqualification, and MJF.
Those type of kickouts really take a lot of energy out of you, because your limbs are trapped. So this is what MJF doesn't want to do. Don't get caught in a grappling game with this man. Don't get sucked into that.
And you saw Danielson smirking. He was inviting MJF to get on the ground with him.
Again, look at the disposition. See his face, look at his face. That's the difference. The poise to stress. And that's in red space in MJF's head. That's what he's doing. And I tried to help MJF. Yes, I talked to him about this, but he's so intense, and he hates Danielson's guts so much.
There is no helping MJF, Taz.
No, you both are right about that, but he does hate Danielson's guts, and sometimes you got to shelve that hatred, right? And wrestle a match.
Especially during a match, you know it's going to be lengthy.
Shoulder tackle, MJF with the weight advantage. He lowered his shoulder into Danielson. Drop him down, leapfrog by Bryan Danielson. Hip toss by Danielson. Up kicks from MJF. And side headlock by Danielson. MJF sends Danielson into the ropes. This time, Bryan with the shoulder tackle. Leapfrog by MJF. Hip toss and up kick. Two men matching one another.
Yeah, move for move here. Missed that elbow.
Danielson.
Nice drop toe hold there.
Drop, missed the elbow, did Danielson. Side headlock takeover.
Good head scissor, good kick out. There's a headlock takedown for his own and a head scissor.
We're having a good wrestling match right now, guys.
Nice arm drag by MJF. And another one by Danielson.
The fans appreciate it too. Listen to the fans.
And Taz, we said it about MJF, but I think that exchange may have proven to a lot of fans, maybe a lot of doubters of MJF, just how good he is.
Absolutely. And you can see the eyes of Danielson like, all right, That's impressive. And I don't know why anybody would doubt anybody. You get to this level in this industry, to a friggin' level like this, and any fan that can doubt anybody for being between these ropes in a company this size, you gotta be a friggin' idiot. I don't care who, if it's a champion or anything, that aggravates me. I gotta tell you.
We're not doubting MJF as a performer.
I'm not talking about MJF, I'm talking about in general. People doubting people. You can't doubt anyone. You get to this level.
I doubt him as a human being.
I'm not even talking about that. Shabani,
Whoa, roundhouse kick attempted. Tony. What is MJF? How's it doing? MJF is over.
Here's the deal. You can't that match. You can have a lose a call.
He's got a game plan. Don't you worry about it. He's got a game plan. Relax.
Maybe his game plan is just to burn clock.
Well, that's a game plan. We see it happen in football all the time, right? Clock management is pretty important. I went a little too far there. I mean, that's
Enemy problem.
Conduct every kind of human.
So, Tony, I think you were touching on it. In my estimation, I think in his heart, MJF, he wants to be respected. He wants to be loved, like Bryan Danielson, but he's so insecure that he just doubts himself rather than doing the work, putting himself out there and taking a risk.
Hold on, let me interrupt you. You're not talking to me, but you just said doing the work. This guy is...
Oh, no, is this going to cost me a star, Dave? Maybe I won't get the Bryan Danielson Award.
He's worked his ass off. You're saying do the work, Excalibur. Look at the work this guy's done. What are you saying that for?
MJF sliding in. But the thing is, he resorts to all these shortcuts, these head games, just because of how insecure that he is. I mean, that scumbag.
You just can't say he's didn't do work. He's worked really hard, even before this match. But shortcuts, I get what you're saying. I do. He does do that sometimes, and it probably is due to insecurities. I don't disagree with
this gaslighting by MJF is, he's a world champion gaslighter.
He's a creep.
Those are good standing switches by both men. You're going to get your hand inside, crotch there, and turn.
Oh, full Nelson reversed around. MJF drops. Danielson pulls up MJF. Danielson, whoa, the full Nelson. You can see Danielson, I believe, with an S grip locked in, Taz.
It is. Look at all the weight, though. You don't see a guy do a full Nelson like that. That's tough, carrying a guy's weight like that while he's got the Nelson on.
Great escape by MJF.
Yeah, it really was.
But Danielson realizing that he's at about a 30-pound weight disadvantage with MJF, and so he was using the body to put even more downward pressure on MJF.
Once that Romero special, you can tell, and MJF knows that's why he's extending the arms forward. Oh, that'll get your hands back.
Danielson, the fingers under the nose.
That's going to change the complexion of this match.
That hurts.
I'm not so sure he's going to be running on the outside much anymore.
You might be right. That'll shut down the running.
And here we are, early goings of this 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. And MJF may have potentially suffered a knee injury just there.
Now this is it. This is the part where we'll see if MJF can hang. Because Bryan Danielson, as we well know, one of the great strikers in AEW.
Oh, MJF.
Well, he's hanging. Gotta give it to him.
Grabbing the trunks, driving Danielson face first into that middle turnbuckle. The flat of the boot into the jaw of Danielson, courtesy of our AEW World Champion, MJF. MJF sending Danielson into the...
Oh, big backdrop there.
Back body drop, but no sense of urgency by MJF right now.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do think you got to get some more offense on him before you get a little too cocky. But hey, he's the world champion. He's got a game plan, I guess. And there you go. There's another backdrop.
MJF, apparently, we talked about burning clock earlier, Taz. He's got to have a mental clock in his head. I mean, it's tough, but, approximately how long this match is going, how much time he's burned off this clock.
Well, I got to be honest. I don't know the small package.
It's like Cradle, two.
Yeah, if I was MJF, I would not even think of the clock. I would think of retaining my title against a guy who's been a world champion many times. And I think that's more the important thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you don't think of the clock until it gets down to the end, right?
Yeah, you just keep fighting and just keep trying to defend. And,
And back body drop. Again, MJF sent for a ride.
Try to win as many falls as you can.
Danielson, a little homage to Jushin Thunder Liger there. And that is the name of the game, Tony. Winning as many falls as you can, but just one more than your opponent will score the win.
Here we go. Try to escape, go get him.
Bryan Danielson.
Oh, the arm across the top rope. We talked earlier about how tight these cables are on these ropes.
And we talked about Danielson having the injury to the shoulder. MJF basically hiring hitmen to go after Danielson.
That shoulder went right into that top turnbuckle.
Danielson fended all of them off, but
what a break here.
Of course he did.
I'll tell you, that's see that much during the match.
Danielson fended all
I'm not a fan of a water break during the match. I'm a little old school. I never had water. I'm sorry, it's been a little bit of a conversation with myself. Yeah. I never had water during a match. I don't
agree with much anything that guy does. That guy being out.
Danielson, he was put through his paces.
He is always looking for shortcuts, and I think he's trying to take one right now. Oh, that worked, though, I can tell you that.
Again, on that shoulder, you're speaking of Excalibur head on.
Danielson was put through his paces, facing some of the tough cover here from MJF, looking for his first fall. But Danielson, he fended off all those challenges. He climbed the ranks. He earned that #1 contender spot here in AEW. But he did not come out unscathed. That left shoulder was specifically targeted by MJF because of the salt of the earth, that Fujiwara armbar tail.
Correct. And again, with that traditional armbar right now on Danielson to wear down that shoulder and arm, the left arm, which is smart. Whoa,
the hair pull.
Yeah, that was really quick and smart by MJF. Salt of the earth, this guy.
Scum of the earth is more like it.
Come on, now. Have a little class.
Excalibur's right on this side.
Danielson sent spilling to the floor by MJF. Danielson, we mentioned, climbing the ranks here in AEW, earning his way to this match, earning his way to the #1 contendership. MJF, as you said, Taz, he's done the work. He's an incredible wrestler, but very rarely does he earn things through his grit.
You're right, I guess. That was ace. Once again, might end up in that front row anyway.
MJF.
He brings out the worst in people.
Yeah, he burned too much time on the floor. Speaking of burning,
he's going to pay for it.
Danielson, the elbow. Oh, no, MJF. MJF turned it around and drove Danielson's shoulder first into the barricade.
That was a quick count. Sorry.
He used Danielson's momentum against him. Yeah. He just leaned back what he did. Yeah, that was a great move.
That was. It was right. He did it really quick out of nowhere.
Now the hammerlock.
Hammerlock with a front headlock. He's got the thumb.
DDT! Danielson got spiked!
Oh, man, this might be a fall here.
1, 2, no! Bryan able to kick out.
If I remember correctly, we haven't seen a lot of near falls, correct, guys?
No, we have not, but
not even close.
That seems to be rapidly changing right now.
Got that arm figure four right there, and a key lock. Above the head right there. Standing, if you're standing, that'd be a top wrist lock. Yes,
I'm sorry, Taz.
Just trying to analyze what we're looking at.
You're doing a great job, as always. But as you can see, we got the scoreboard on the big screen here. And the fact is, he is, MJF, trying to look for a submission for the first fall here.
Again, working at that arm, right, Tony, like we talked about, right, for the salt of the earth, or just that damaged shoulder. Oh, look at that under the armpit while he has the control of the hand.
Yeah, wrenching the wrist. And as that wrist of Danielson turns, all those joints, those tendons, the ligaments in the arm of Danielson, they turn as well. The cover.
So smart to go for that quick cover by MJF after throwing him on the arm. arm is trapped. Look at this. Oh, wow. Nice. Hammerlock into that back throw.
Cover. MJF only getting a 2 count. Still in search of his first fall. Now choking Danielson.
I don't know what that has to do with the shoulder, but I guess it's effective.
Taking the oxygen away from the opponent while he's trying to recover.
I think probably, I would think that Max is a little bit frustrated too.
Sure.
Hence why he started choking him. He also despises the man because he hates him. You know, sometimes you hate someone, you want to choke them.
There are not many people he likes in the world.
Tony, we've got time. We can do a little armchair psychoanalysis here. Does MJF hate Bryan Danielson more, or does MJF hate himself more?
Wow, that's good. He's very insecure like we talked about. And you can tell that someone who is that miserable must hate himself in some form.
I love how 2 guys that are professional wrestling announcers are actually psychiatrists on a wrestling show. Stop!
You see at the corner of your screen, we have crossed the first quarter hour of this match. As MJF with the arm captured, but Danielson a headbutt.
Man, those are well placed, guys. He's desperate up there. He's got to do this. I like Danielson's game plan here, though.
Danielson.
Oh, what the hell's he got in mind? Watch out! Oh, wow! God.
That was a bang on the mat, guys.
He'll get a pinfall if Danielson could cover. Danielson will get a pin win, in my opinion, if he could cover, though.
Did he hit hard?
Oh, sunset flip powerbomb by Bryan Danielson.
Those are whipping, quick, smashing. Let's take a look. You can see the quick torque. Watch this. It's like sunset, bam, right there. It's so quick and short. The impact on the back of your head and neck is brutal.
MJF charges in the drop toe hold. Danielson sent MJF face first in that middle turnbuckle pad.
This here is the American Dragon's game. Round kicks, chops, wear out the chest.
Danielson creates some distance, now closing in. Heel of his boot underneath the chin of MJF.
Be careful here.
Danielson, the second one.
All right, gonna try it a 3rd time.
And
he's just dangling on the turnbuckle.
Yeah, no, I think MJF's just about out.
I mean, MJF, he got rocked by that sunset flip powerbomb.
Last week, I believe, MJF got knocked out by Danielson on that fight outside the ring.
Yeah,
that was last week.
Yeah, that melee, and
MJF got out on the outside.
Now, perhaps on the receiving end of the Hurricanrana.
Oh, tough landing.
Yeah, that was a multi-stage landing for MJF as Danielson. No.
Gotta give it to MJF, man. He came right out of it instinctively.
Yeah, you don't want to, fall behind here, or have a guy has a couple of covers on you, a couple of pinfalls or submissions, and then the time elapses, and next you know, you lose your title.
I think this could be the psycho knee coming up here. No, maybe not.
MJF is able to counter with the elbow strike, catching Danielson underneath the jaw. Oh, stomp on the elbow. MJF perhaps looking to hyperextend that elbow in addition to all the damage done to the shoulder.
Take one more look.
Let's take a look here. Look at the eyes of the intensity right there in Max's face as he almost shatters this man's arm.
You never want to second-guess Bryan Danielson because of the great competitor he's been all throughout his career, but running into that corner may have been a mistake.
MJF swinging a miss. Danielson swings. And work on Rana. No! Power bomb onto the knee.
He's got him.
1, 2, no!
I don't know how Danielson kicked out. That was impressive, that kick out. Man, that was tough landing on the back of Danielson, quarterback of Danielson.
And Taz, a few moments ago, we saw that sunset flip powerbomb off the corner. Well, let's take another look.
Watch this impact on the spine. Wow, man. Oof.
And after the powerbomb, referee Bryce Remsburg, he was given the 10 count to both men down. And that's in the event that one man is able to rise and beat the count. Correct. So there would be a pin, or there would be a fall scored if one man was not able to rise.
Yeah, you're right. But look at this here, Danielson going.
Danielson was looking for the label lock, but instead MJF
Maybe Boston Crab or a slingshot.
No, catapult. Danielson.
He can't even skin the cat, or can he?
Can he?
He might be having someone wait.
Oh, cross kick. He wasted too much time.
I think the arm, he had a problem gripping.
Danielson would have been better served dropping to the floor, taking the steps back up into the ring.
All right, MJF looking for a count out. He's telling Bryce Remsburg, go ahead and count. And again, a count out would give MJF a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I don't blame MJF. I think it's good strategy.
He's going out, obviously.
What is it?
Let's see what he's doing here.
What the hell is this?
MJF, the Quebrada, no, lands on his feet, and he tweaked his knee.
Buckled his knee for sure.
Yeah. That was a, we will say, bad move. Watch out!
And Danielson, the tope scores.
Yeah, MJF kind of went to something you don't see him do much with that moonsault. And he buckled his knee, and then, you know it, the American Dragon made him pay.
You know, we saw in the very early goings of this match when Danielson was looking for that Romero special. He couldn't get the Romero special, but instead he stomped.
I forgot about that. That's a good point.
On the knees.
That's a good point, yeah.
Critical mistake, though, by MJF, man. That knee.
It was a big mistake.
It may haunt him the rest of this match.
And Taz, that stomp by Danielson, that double stomp, I mean, that could create a partial tear.
Sure. Which
then, that Quebrada attempt by MJF, the miss landing on his feet, could become a full-blown tear.
Absolutely.
Oh, wait, MJF! Salt to the earth!
Flew right into that armbar. He's got that thing, got that figure four grip on it.
Oh, but Danielson, he clasped his hands.
Smart. And he rolling through to break everything.
Brian rolls through. MJF, though.
Got that pump handle with a half.
Caught him into the pump hand. Oh, MJF, no!
Oh, man.
Wow. That was nasty. No, that was nasty.
It is not often that you visibly wince, become animated here at the desk, but you just slapped me on the shoulder and turned your head.
Sorry, I did. I apologize because I've landed on the back of my skull.
Yeah, and so is Brian Danielson.
And got hurt very badly doing it. And this was very high and nasty. And look at this angle here. That just makes me cringe as someone who's broken their neck. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't.
I'm sorry, I slapped you.
No, I wasn't looking for an apology. I was just trying to underscore the severity of that, and also underscore the heart of Danielson being able to kick out of something like that.
I don't know how he kicked out. I don't know. I mean, it shows how tough Danielson is. Man, that was wicked, guys. I'm telling you, wicked.
That's why they call this Iron Man.
Danielson lands on his feet, back elbow attempted by MJF, swing and a miss. Danielson using the elbow strike.
Yeah, he landed hard, and again, you saw him grab that left shoulder right away, that upper bicep shoulder area.
Again, the 10 count by the referee in the event that one man is able to beat it and one man isn't. And what a way that would be for our first fall to take place in this 60-minute Ironman match, Tony.
And we approach the 30-minute. We are very deep into this, and we approach the 30-minute mark here. Watch
inside
out.
cradle in that small package.
1, 2.
Smart, trying to just capture with a headlock takedown now.
Side headlock, MJF. Oh, he tilts. Danielson down, and now this head scissors. Danielson breaks free. Side headlock once again by MJF. Danielson's shoulders up. MJF drops it down. Now MJF gets dropped down.
I love this because it's smart. They're forcing each other to kick out.
Yes.
And now a backslide.
1, 2.
They're both a little desperate, to be honest, right now, in a good way.
Inside cradle. 2.
Oh, nice tilt right there.
2.
And another tilt.
Back and forth, and neither man with the advantage.
Good luck to the referee, Bryce Remsburg.
Oh, no. 2, and oh, Danielson very nearly got pinned.
Sunset flip.
1, 2, Danielson.
This is hard. Guys, this takes a lot out of your body. I'm talking about the guys in the ring. This is physically demanding, I promise.
This is tremendous.
Danielson, the jackknife.
To try and bridge up.
Oh, MJF did it.
Wow.
MJF gets to his feet now. MJF thinking backslide.
He's going to get it.
1,
Stacked him high.
2, no.
We almost got it.
But MJF maintains control of the wrist. Danielson avoided the tombstone. MJF, no, Danielson sits back and so close.
Oh, man. Yeah, I applaud them both.
Double leg pinfall attempt by MJF.
so exhausting. I promise. Those type of near falls, so many of them, couldn't even count them.
Danielson lands on his feet, swing. Oh!
Wow. That call. Hey, look, he bounced back up. Did Daniel? Whoa! I don't know how he bounced back up either.
They both got nailed right there.
And the fans are digging this. Man, what a world title match.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I promise you this. I'm not inside the brain of Bryan Danielson, but I promise you, he's thinking of the champion a different way than he did 24 hours ago.
Bingo.
Probably guarantee you that.
Yeah. Probably thinking of the champion in a completely different way than he did 25 minutes ago.
Fair point. Because this is, and I'm sure Max is feeling the same way about the challenger. We're witnessing something special here.
That's one thing to know a man by reputation. It's a completely separate thing to be in the ring with him.
You could see their abdomens, how much it's going up and down. They're breathing, trying to get that oxygen going.
If one man can get up before the other, he'll win the first one.
I think you might be right.
Yeah.
We're at 9.
Right.
Whoa,
There you go, Danielson.
Tips up.
And he looks good, too.
All right, MJF's up, though.
MJF up, but Danielson.
MJF's going to get...
Here comes Excalibur.
Right now.
Bull Psycho knee!
He's going to get a fall. He's going to get a fall.
1, 2, 3. Danielson scores the first fall. And remember, there is no rest period. The match and the clock continues. You see Danielson with some blood on his right elbow. I'm not sure what busted him open on that, but potentially,
I'm not
Taz.
sure. Yeah, they're doing so much near falls and pins. Sometimes they can, but you know, can rip you.
Yeah, and potentially Danielson with injuries to both arms.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Bryan Danielson scores the first fall, draws the first metaphorical blood in this match.
Yeah, and he looks fresh as a daisy, and the champion does not. And the champion's about to maybe get caught with a second fall. He's about to get popped.
He's getting ready to get popped with another knee.
Oh, MJF.
He was going to go for the Psycho knee there again, I think.
Was that exhaustion? Was that desperation? Or was that strategy by MJF?
Yes.
Yeah. Good answer.
So, yeah. That's what I think. Oh! Low blow city there, right?
Low blow. It was right in front of the referee. MJF, the roll up, 2 and 3. And now he covers 1, 2, and 3. Oh! 2 quick falls in quick succession. 1, 2. No! Danielson kicks out.
And all of a sudden, MJF bolts into the lead.
So
I think it's 2-1, right?
It's 2-1, I believe.
Yeah.
It was a disqualification on the low blow.
Okay. So
yes,
2-2.
But then 2 quick falls by MJF. He has drawn this level.
Yeah, 2-2.
There's no scoreboard.
It don't happen so fast, man.
It sure did.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, it was smart what MJF did. He got the DQ and knew he'd get 2, 3, maybe.
He ate a fall.
Right.
To get at least 1 back. But he got 2. He's very lucky, and that almost got the 3rd.
So we're back to where we started. They're evened up right here.
You know, and then he's taking a water break.
I'm going to tell you this about
Danielson's still hurting a little bit.
I'm going to tell you about this water break. It's not that good of an idea because you're going to put all that water in your stomach, and it's going to blow you up more. It's going to make you more tired. I don't know why he's doing that.
So Bryan Danielson scoring the first fall after the Busaiku knee. The disqualification on MJF resulting in the second fall. Then 2 quick pins by MJF to draw this match level.
MJF's going to drive him on his head here with the
heat seeker attempted. MJF once again.
The knee again.
Yeah, right. That knee. We are approaching the halfway point of this match as Danielson ascends to the top. Shotgun drop kick sends MJF spilling to the outside.
Each man now has a focal point. The shoulder of Danielson, the knee of MJF. Let's see if they work on it.
We're almost at that halfway point here.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Chaz. As we approach a halfway point.
Now he's...
MJF against the barricades, getting plastered by Danielson.
It's like we were saying, it was smart strategy by MJF. He was down 1-0, then he got that DQ, 8-1, like you said, Excalibur, and then boom, 2 quick. It was smart. It was just smart what he did.
And with no rest period, I mean, that's how MJF was able to score those in such quick succession. Imagine if Danielson had, 30 seconds to recover like in some Iron Man matches.
And you see right there, breaking the count was Danielson, and that's a great point by you, man.
Yeah, it shows you how quickly things can change in this match.
Yeah, I know about the no rest period. Oh, God. Oh! Wow, you heard that.
A collision on the outside, the lariat, and the lariat caught Danielson, but you saw him when he was on the ground, he was clutching his shoulder.
Yeah, when you get hit with a clothesline, it does affect your shoulders. You feel it in your upper body. So, but he landed hard, right? So he probably landed on that area.
Well, you can see it's going to take a running start here, seemingly.
I don't know how much. I don't know if that's a good idea, though.
With that knee, you're right. Well, here he comes. Yep.
Oh, but Bryan comes back with the lariat.
Man, these guys are just bodying each other here.
I saw him, and he saw it too, did Danielson.
Man, those are shots.
All day ever.
Well, Bryan Danielson peppers MJF with those kicks on the outside. We have officially crossed the halfway point of this. Oh, my goodness.
Now you got to get him in the ring, get a cover. Get him in the ring, Danielson.
And you know what Danielson did? Not only did he go into the ring to create some distance to build up some more momentum, he broke the 10 count on the outside.
Yeah, so smart as a ring general is the American Dragon. I'm just giving my opinion. I do think after this shot right here, it's easy to say sitting here. If I was Danielson, I would have got him in the ring quick and went for a cover, but this works. You obviously got a good game plan here.
Yep, this works. There's the knee. Oh, man, I hope it hurts. I hope this hurts, too.
Danielson wrapping the knee of MJF around the steel ring post, and MJF, the AEW World Champion, in agony.
Yeah, that left knee, you don't want to let a guy like Bryan Danielson know there's a problem with one of your joints. He's going to exploit it, and that's what we're witnessing right here.
MJF writhing in pain on the mat as Danielson, this is music to Danielson's ears. He knows MJF has an injury. Bryan Danielson knows he has something on the world champion, something more than MJF's insecurities to exploit. He has an injury to exploit, Taz.
Especially with someone who is so well-versed in submission as Danielson is. The amount of joint locks on the knee that this man knows. We're about to see one here. It's a figure four.
Oh, there we go.
The pain that Max is in. Oof, forget it.
Yeah, we'll see what type of man he is here. Now, we've seen how great a condition he is.
Covered. And MJF. I say cover, but no, he just dropped to the mat while he was trapped in the figure four.
I hate you! I hate you, son of a bitch! I hate you!
But Danielson's smiling. He's smiling about this.
And he just leans back, putting even more pressure on the legs. And Taz, as Danielson raises his body off the mat, he puts even more pressure on the knees.
The whole part, every ligament and cartilage in that knee. Figure four is an excruciating, painful hold, I should say. Brutal on the knee joint. Nice, alleviating that smart. Turn that way.
But Danielson knew what MJF was trying to do, and so all he had to do was put a little bit more torque on it.
And that's one of the more tighter figure fours I've seen in quite some time. We've all seen as people in the wrestling sport and fans have seen a lot of figure fours in pro wrestling. That was a pretty damn tight figure four.
Anderson said, I've got 5 referees. Second time he has said that tonight. He's really getting intense here now, is Danielson.
Kicks to the kidneys of MJF.
Yeah, he's trash talking MJF as Danielson.
I kind of feel like Danielson's getting warmed up here. We're way past 30 minutes.
Bryan Danielson, as we mentioned at the top, someone, throughout 2006 in Ring of Honor, Danielson, multiple 60-minute matches.
Oh my God.
Look at his head, man. Could have broke his neck right there.
MJF escapes, and now he's got Danielson around.
The knee, he shook out that knee. He's trying to get that knee going.
But look at Danielson, he's hammering down at that quad.
Good escape there.
Round kick.
shoulder. Slapped the
palm
shoulder.
strike to the shoulder.
And then a kick to the knee, and another one right to that shoulder.
Each working on the weakest part.
Bingo.
With a leg, please. Look, MJF couldn't even block it. Couldn't even move out of the way of it.
And MJF was pleading with Danielson, but I think that only, for a competitor like Danielson, Taz, it only eggs him on more.
Oh, yeah, no, he's ruthless. Danielson, he's not the nicest guy in the world. He's a ruthless competitor. People love him and stuff. He's a ruthless guy. I mean, that's what's made him successful. He's not a fun-loving vegan. He's going to hurt you.
Now, MJF being put up onto the ropes by the American Dragon. Danielson.
Yeah, right now, I'm telling you what, MJF has lost some steam here.
He certainly has.
He's in trouble, man. He's in a lot of trouble, and this thing's evened up at 2-2.
Elbow strikes in the ropes. MJF, he's clutching onto that camera. He's doing everything in his power to prevent Danielson from bringing him down.
Danielson's trying to bring him down on the floor.
Yeah, I think they're right.
If he goes back, he'll land on the apron of the floor here.
These guys have been through hell already, and they're trying to jockey in a real tight spot.
Oh, Danielson crashed down, and Taz, just out of instinct alone, Danielson tried to post. He tried to put that arm down.
Correct, and that messed up that shoulder. I think Max has that camera that was on top of the turnbuckle, the post, I should say. He already had it in hand. It just fell. I don't know what happened with the camera.
Maybe
this.
Yeah, the camera got in harm's way there, really.
You just see stepping over that cable how tough it was for him with that knee issue.
MJF not able to put much weight on that knee.
Shoulder, man, again.
Danielson, not only those 60-minute matches in Ring of Honor, the 75-minute match, the 60-minute draw with Hangman Adam Page.
Whatever Max is going to do, I don't know if he can do it. He can't even put weight on that left knee. But Danielson.
And tonight, Danielson.
What's he going to try here?
This is not smart. I think MJF's getting desperate here.
We're getting, as you can see, getting close to the 20-minute mark left in this match.
Yeah, there's no way MJF.
And he's with his
climbing up to the
MJF, this is not in his wheelhouse.
Oh, you're right. This is not him at all.
He's desperate here.
He is desperate.
And the turnbuckle is very slippery for him, as you can see.
The metal turnbuckle there.
Elbow drop on target.
Well, you got to give it to him.
Yeah, I stand corrected, man. I'm impressed.
Yes, sir. You got to give it to the champ. Out of his wheelhouse, but he made it work.
Let's take a look at this right here. This gigantic elbow off the top turnbuckle through a table. Watch this shot here over the ring. Beautiful view right there we had. Here's another shot. There's one more angle coming at you here. Man, that's a lot of weight hitting someone's sternum.
It's a lot of weight, and it was not without a cost to Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Hang on a second. You see that Doc Sampson and the referee are checking Bryan Danielson. He's not moving here much.
Oh, no. MJF just dragged Bryce back into the ring saying, count him out.
He's right. I hate to say he's right, but that's what Bryce's job is. Doc is over there.
Well, I'll tell you, he's getting checked on, Danielson. And listen, when you're in a match to defend your title against arguably the greatest wrestler in the world ever, you got to pull out desperate things. You got to do your best to do whatever it is to survive. And we're seeing MJF pull that off. We are. He's doing that.
Bryan Danielson endeavoring to beat the count.
Oh, he can't get up.
Danielson drops. This could be the third fall for MJF. Danielson.
Oh, he made it.
Wow. Barely.
Oh, man.
Just barely.
Max cannot believe it.
No, he cannot believe it. You're right. It's 2-2.
A table shot that he came out of.
Man, I don't know how he did that.
I don't either. Guys, it's a kick-ass match, man. Man.
It certainly is. And
still a little bit over 20 minutes left in this.
This match, as MJF on the outside, is about to cross a very important milestone. 38 minutes and 9 seconds, the longest match of MJF's professional career. And as of a few seconds from now, MJF is now in the longest match of his professional wrestling career.
Yeah, and that's impressive. And I'll tell you what, right now,
You still got 21 minutes to go.
about to get dropped on his head. The challenge is going to get driven, pile-driven.
Oh, my goodness!
All right. He's going to try the same thing, I would think. Get in the ring if he can.
If he can. If he can.
But like I told you, desperate tactics. That's what we're witnessing. He's got to pull out all the stops against the best wrestler in the world, and he's doing it.
But MJF delivering that tombstone to the remnants of the timekeeper's table.
Oh, man, let's take a look at that tombstone.
But if MJF can't get up, if he can't beat the referee's count, it does him no good.
Well, I get what you're saying, but, and there's a but.
It was a tombstone through a shattered table.
You're taking a guy in Danielson, and you're just wearing him down. And he split him open to a degree here.
Yeah.
So, you know, you just tombstone him running into a table.
And as you see, we are at the 20-minute mark to go. He's squeezing the blood out of his forehead.
Digging his thumb.
It's like it's a pimple. He's trying to pop it. He's sick. Pour that blood out of his head. He's desperate, and he's got to be desperate. And he's pulling out all the stops to retain. Shows you how important being a world champion is.
Good call.
To MJF.
Yeah.
2/3 of the clock has elapsed in this 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. MJF, Seeker, he stuck him.
Gonna be 3-2 here, guys.
1, 2,
3-2.
3.
There you go.
You are right, man. MJF.
But look at this, MJF, rather than going for the quick pinfall attempt again, the damage done to his knee so severe.
He couldn't even. You're right. He had to get some separation from himself to his opponent.
Okay, guys. Now if you're MJF, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Chaz. I think you put in the deep freeze, don't you? You stay away from danger.
I think so. You play people where you play prevent.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just prevent Jones. Yeah, you just.
But hell, he's not going to do that apparently. I'm getting so excited. I'm moving the table around.
Well, see, the water thing. Again, like I said earlier, if you're just rinsing, I get it. But if you're swallowing that water, man, that's going to really affect you. I mean, just rinsing your mouth is. Anybody who's played sports knows that. So I don't know if it's smart he's doing that.
And that's the thing. I mean, MJF, he was a standout high school football player. He knows.
He does, but he's in the battle of his life against championship right now. But I get what you're saying. But he was an athlete, so he should know that. But look at his punches. Wow.
They are fucking. Oh, my God.
And it's only serving to open that laceration on Bryan Danielson's head up wider and wider.
That's a look of an evil man right there.
Yeah,
I don't care what you said. It's a look of an evil man.
Look of the devil.
Absolutely. He's an evil man, and he is hell-bent on leaving San Francisco with that championship. And he's in a great position to do it. There's 18 minutes left. He's up 3-2. And you got Danielson that's hurting and bleeding. And now MJF turns his attention to the arm, the left arm of Bryan Danielson. I would cinch it, and it's, again, I'm armchair quarterback, and I would cinch in an arm lock, shoulder lock on him, and just keep him in it.
That's you! You're the best in the world! You fucking suck! Do you understand me? I'm the best!
I don't know if that's smart. I don't know if you want to motivate or start firing up the challenge. Again, I think Max is so desperate right now. I think that he just, it's in his head. You said the word insecurity. I think that's it. I do think that's a big part of what's going on here.
Say hi to Bernie and Buddy! Say hi to him!
And now invoking Bryan's children's names.
I told you this would happen to Dada! I told you this would happen to Dada!
I feel like MJF knows that he's in the catbird seat right now. He's got the advantage. He's got the lead.
But I'm the best in the world.
Becoming unraveled?
I'm the best in the world. Me.
A little bit. He's definitely coming unraveled. I mean, that's evident, right? I mean, we're seeing that. I think that's a problem. Just my professional view.
He's becoming himself again, is what he is. He's wrestled a tremendous match, and now all of a sudden, the real MJF is coming to the surface again.
And this tremendous match is far from over. There's a lot of time left in this thing here. This 16 minutes is a lot of time, guys. A lot can happen.
And, Danielson, he is an incredible wrestler. He has every capability of evening this match up, but MJF, if he plays his cards right, he could get out to an insurmountable lead.
He can, but I think what Shivani said earlier, he's not playing, he's not playing prevent defense here. Instead, he's motivating this man by yelling at him because he's so happy he's ahead.
He can't help himself. He cannot help himself. Oh, Lord.
Snot rocking and everything.
Danielson rising.
Shot. Give me a shot! Come on, give me a big shot, Dragon!
Whoa!
The paintbrush, but the headbutt, and Danielson immediately drops to his backside.
Headbutt right on that open wound. Yeah, I'll tell you what, impressive. It's impressive. Gotta stay focused, Max. Just stay focused here.
That damaged left shoulder of Bryan Danielson over the last couple months. We've seen that was the target. As an orthodox striker, that's the lead arm. But Danielson just turned it around on MJF.
Big reversal there. That's a big one.
We are 3/4 of the way through this 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship. And MJF has a 3-2 lead, but maybe not for long.
Danielson needs a pin. He needs a disqualification. He needs a count out, but he still has time. He shouldn't rush that much.
Danielson perhaps on the verge of a count-out fall.
There you go. Take it right now.
Oh, no. What is Bryan doing?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, he's letting his emotions carry him away here.
Yeah, this might be a big problem here.
Bryan Danielson.
If he misses it,
he did it.
Connects off the top to the floor. And we are over 45 minutes into this match. There was nothing fancy about it. Danielson just threw his body at MJF.
And here it is, as you just said. That's the perfect way. You can look all over the place for a lucha name for that. You're not going to find it, right? That is just do what you got to do.
But MJF rises up with the elbow strike, halting Danielson's progress up to the top.
These men are exhausted, physically exhausted, and they still have over 13 minutes to go, and they're just going.
Danielson.
Uh-oh.
Good job. Ooh, good job.
Escapes between the legs, and MJF a very rough landing.
Yeah, to say the least.
Bryan now.
What is Danielson? He got mud. He's straddling the rope. You don't see that much.
Well, I would think that just the way he's hooked on the ropes, maybe a simple superplex.
Oh, no, he's thinking.
No. Oh, I know what he's going to do here.
Danielson thinking spider superplex.
Yeah, exactly.
Good call.
Oh, but Danielson, he didn't want to take the impact on himself, so he hung his legs into the. He hooked his legs on the inside, and it took a moment to rise. But Danielson rise he does.
And the fans are encouraging him on. Look at him. Got a long way to go to get MJF. Long way.
Bryan Danielson. Diving headbutt.
And it just.
But again, not without its own cost.
Correct. You got to figure his shoulders feeling that. Right there, he's grabbing at it. He's bleeding.
The clock is dwindling, and MJF opened up by that head-to-head contact.
Oh, man, you're right.
Danielson, 2, and no!
That's a big wound right there. That is.
Oh, yeah, he's.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he's gaffed open.
Now, Taz, earlier tonight, we talked about how some competitors shrink when they taste that iron of their own blood in their mouth. This is a test for MJF. How does he react?
Yeah, it looks like he's shrinking. To be honest.
Yeah, to be honest.
He doesn't. He's in bad shape. It's pretty obvious.
It's a Gordon Soley Crimson Mask is what this is.
It definitely is. And I think that the challenge is fixing to come flying across the ring with a knee strike or something
beginning.
No.
Good move. There it is.
Psycho knee.
There it is.
How Danielson scored the first fall. Bryan Danielson.
Here it goes. The bell lock coming.
Now, Danielson paying homage to his mentor as MJF.
He's got to tap here.
Yeah, he's got to.
You got to live to fight another day. You got some time left, Max. Just tap.
The blood streaming in his eyes, and Danielson draws it level.
He had to. He had to. I mean, it's tied up. You got a little bit over 10 minutes left. He had to do that. He should have tapped quicker.
3-3 with about 10 minutes to go.
Why have more damage done to you? You know, I think that was smart by MJF.
But Taz, here's the thing. Danielson, when he had that locked in, he was also putting pressure on his own shoulder. Bryan Danielson.
No, you're right.
Right here, Bryce Remsburg lets both competitors know where we are because they're not looking at a scoreboard or anything.
Danielson going back to it once again. MJF, you can see the pool of blood forming below his face.
He's trying to get that arm.
Oh, man,
Get that arm bar.
How about this? He fired right back.
Yeah, the salt of the earth.
Good move by MJF.
He's sitting through with it, too.
I believe I said that.
MJF cranking back on the arm. This has been his game plan for months.
And that shoulder is worn out. Danielson, he's got to either roll into him or roll through.
Danielson rolls through. Now the lapel lock attempt.
You got to underhook that. He's just blocking here with that right arm.
You know, he's bleeding. He's so slippery.
Yeah, I was going to say, the slickness of the blood becomes an issue.
Right.
For Bryan Danielson's grip, but right now, MJF, making that,
get to that rope.
That desperate army crawl. Danielson turns it around.
Yeah, he's not going to get away. He's going to have to tap again here, I think, man. That's going to put him in a hole.
Oh, he's so close. Come on, drop that right hand.
Gotta hang on, Max, here. You gotta get to the rope. You gotta roll, dude. Sit through. He's worn out, though.
The lapel lock is in.
Sit through.
Danielson gets turned around. MJF falls. Now salt to the earth.
Good transition.
Exhausting the call.
MJF, you can see digging in his heels. Wrenching back on the left arm of Bryan Danielson.
Hey, man, the challenge I didn't expect to be countered a couple times here on the mat, but it happened.
And Tony, I think that blood may have been the only thing that allowed MJF to slip free of the grip of Bryan Danielson.
You're right on target, Excalibur. Right on target. Look at it back.
Got it locked up. Got it scissored up. If he could turn.
Look at that shot. Look at the blood on the mat.
And this is where the weight advantage of MJF comes into play. He's able to anchor Danielson down towards the center of the ring.
It's a big advantage having a pounded advantage on your opponent in a grappling match and hooking the arm, preventing that rope. Oh, man. Oh, snap his arm, dude.
And Danielson trying to get his hips underneath him.
Danielson getting stretched. Let's call it as it is.
Bryan Danielson still fighting on. He's digging in his hip. He's trying to extend that left boot to the rope.
I got to pick the hole there. Good job. Good match sense and ability to get to that rope. That's very rare you see Danielson utilize a rope for a rope break instead of a counter. But I give the man a lot of credit for doing that. He's smart. He knows he got caught. He had to do that.
Under 10 minutes remain in this match. And we are right back where we started 53 minutes ago. A deadlock.
I think it's great in 2023. A massive crowd here in San Francisco chanting, "This is awesome," for a wrestling contest. This is a wrestling match.
That's right.
What are we at? 40 minutes and change, 45 minutes, whatever the...
No, 53 minutes of it last.
And I think it's awesome. People are just literally staring at the ring, enjoying this.
Well, this is what we are all about. I don't think there's any doubt. If any match ever proved what AEW is all about, you're watching it right now.
It's in-ring physicality, you're right.
And they still have enough to slug each other on their knees. Amazing.
Well, one wants to be the champion, the other one wants to prove to the world not only can he retain his title, but he can beat the best wrestler in the world.
Knocking each other crazy.
Ooh, that was a lot of impact.
Exchanging headbutts.
He caught MJF with that.
Yeah, you saw MJF's legs are on the verge of buckling.
Yeah, he keeps grabbing that left knee. And if I'm Danielson, drop toe hold, get a knee bar or a heel hook.
And now the clock becomes a serious issue for both competitors. We are tied at 3 falls apiece.
The 6-minute mark.
I don't think Max is going to. He's hanging with these strikes, but I don't know if he's going to survive.
Whoa.
Yeah,
both men collide.
Yeah, but I think the challenger got the better.
Both men drop.
Under 6 minutes.
I was stand corrected. They're even.
Yeah, under 6 minutes, and we are still dead even. Like you said, Excalibur, like right where we started. At 0-0.
Look, one guy is almost in tears, and the challenger's laughing. Max is basically
crying, and Danielson
is laughing.
There it is. Put it up.
5 minutes remaining.
Oh, and that created some serious urgency in both competitors.
Yeah, they both amped it up.
It's still a smile on Danielson's face. Oh!
Taz, could this be that Danielson knows how much he has left in the tank? Danielson may have a tank half full. MJF may be completely gassed.
I think you're right. We talked about the pacing ability and the experience of having out 1-hour matches, that Danielson has that advantage over the champion.
Roundhouse kick connects. Rolling elbow strike from Danielson. Danielson back to the corner. Threw his body into that one.
So he knocked him out last week, ringside. And he ran across the ring by the ring timekeeper's table, I should say. That running forearm shot. Danielson
bringing MJF back up to his feet. MJF trying to get out of the grips of the challenger. Danielson, wrenches the arm over the top. Heat seeker!
Oh my God, he got
Second
it.
one of the night.
2, no!
Was that the second or the third one he's done tonight?
Oh, that may be the third.
I can't recall. Maybe the second.
How dangerous.
What is MJF doing now? He's going for more water.
Man, dude, don't stop with this.
He's bringing the ring this time. Well, okay.
He's probably feels like he's dehydrating.
He's more blood than sweat.
Yeah, fair.
And now MJF with Danielson up onto the top. Well-deserved H2O chant.
I just had some
closing moments. As MJF, what is he thinking?
That under 3 minutes right now, guys. Under 3 minutes here, and they're tied up.
I can't believe what we're seeing. This is unbelievable.
Oh, no, this is bad for the champ.
The hammer and anvil elbows raining down on the jaw of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Oh, wait, MJF.
Oh, God. Oh, this is dangerous. Oh, my God.
Tombstone pile driver.
He hit his knee, though. He hit his knee.
Might have blew his knee out, but I'll tell you what, the challenger might be knocked out.
Yep.
This is nuts.
That pile driver on the table.
Look at a knot on the head of MJF, by the way. Look at him. He's got a knot on his head.
Danielson, though, hasn't moved since he got spiked off the middle rope.
Gentlemen, I've seen a lot, but I've never seen anything like this. We are at the 2-minute warning right now.
Yeah, bingo, and we're tied up at 3-3. What the hell's going to happen here?
Oh, man, the drama and the just carnage. And
who would imagine after 58 minutes of action, we're right where we started. This match completely tied.
Everybody in the building can see the big video board. The wrestlers can see it. They know how much time is left.
After that, off the ropes, that tombstone, I mean, we have not seen the American Dragon move, guys.
No, but we also have not seen Maxwell Jacob Friedman able to make a pinfall attempt.
His knee might be blown out, I'm telling you.
The cover.
Got it. No!
But Danielson.
He pulled him in. He sucked him in. Got a single leg crab on.
Single leg crab, and Danielson sinks back deep.
Come on, keep it on.
1 minute remains.
That's it, Brian. That's it tight.
You got 60 seconds.
60 seconds less than now.
Can Max hang on? Can MJF hang on?
This is crazy. Oh, this is nuts.
And Max making the crawl.
Oh, my God. Yes. We're going to get a new champion here.
He's got to get it. That hand is up. That right hand wants it.
Danielson is watching the clock count down as he has MJF in the center of the ring.
Oh, the freaking drama. There it is.
Hang on. No, he stopped himself.
He bit his fist.
Suck it up, Max. You got to hang on. Suck it up.
20 seconds. 15.
Can he hang on?
Oh, my God.
10.
The left hand. Oh, he shouldn't have.
He hooked the arm.
He hooked the arm. I thought the left hand.
The clock is on. He tapped after.
No, the time elapsed. It don't count.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 60 minutes have expired. Because the score is tied, this match is a draw, and MJF is still your AEW World Champion.
Wow. MJF outlasted Bryan Danielson.
Tony, I got you. Go ahead.
MJF still the AEW World Champion, a 60-minute time limit draw.
All right, I'm getting some communication here. Just hang on just 1 second.
The fans obviously not happy with the decision, but
all right.
What do we got,
Okay,
Tony? What's up?
okay, hang on okay. Yeah, T. Right. Okay. I got you. Right. Okay.
What's up? What's going on?
I'll be glad to go down there.
What is going on? Shivani's going to the ring. What is?
While all of this is happening, MJF is being administered oxygen, and Tony Schiavone. You want to talk about a cat that caught the canary? Shivani's got a.
I mean, obviously he was getting some communication.
You heard that, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Tony Khan will not allow this match to end in a draw. Therefore, this match will continue for one more fall under sudden death rules.
Let's go! That's awesome.
High drama in San Francisco.
Great job by TK. I love it. Let's go.
The bell has rung. The medical team has cleared the ring. And MJF is dejected, to say the least.
He shouldn't be. He's got to get fired up, man. This is when it's go time right now.
Sudden death. Oh, he
just pushed the ref. Oh, man.
Oh, wait.
Oh, no, not like this. No. No way.
Oh!
Ooh, that was close.
The waist lock. Oh, the low blow. But Bryce didn't see it. The referee didn't see it.
He's going to get him.
Two, and the trunks. Oh, Danielson kicks out.
Might have been the only shot for MJF there.
Oh, we're back to the well again, guys. With that low blow. How about this? How about this night?
It was amazing. This is nuts.
That was one of the best messages I ever got from TK.
That's awesome.
A euphoric Tony Schiavone as our main event, the 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Championship continues.
Sudden death rules.
MJF, he's got the World Championship belt in his hand.
Bryce is telling me.
Yeah, just told him flat out.
Yeah,
there you go, Bryce. Hits him and loses.
MJF not gonna get DQ'd.
definitely going to crown a new champion right now. Oh, my God.
There it is.
That's it. 1, 2, 3.
Oh! The sucker kicked out.
How the hell did MJF just kick out?
What are we watching?
We are watching an all-time gutsy performance by a man many underestimated in our world champion MJF. But we are watching an equally gutsy performance by one of the greatest wrestlers of all time in the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
This is friggin' epic. I don't know how it's going to end, but it's epic.
And it can go on forever.
That's right. You're right.
They've been chanting fight forever. They may get what they want.
It's sudden death rules. The first fall determines the winner, determines the man who is the AEW World Champion.
Oh, my God. Back to that single crab.
Yeah, that half crab, and notice
turning into a heel hook there.
There's the ring.
And he's taking the ring off. Oh, my God. MJF can't catch a break.
And he stuck it in his pocket. Good job, Bryce.
MJF on the verge of tapping. Yeah. No.
Don't be careful with that.
Yeah, he's trying to psych himself up. He's trying to motivate himself.
Be careful.
You're right. Be careful. Don't slam the mat.
That's a single leg crab, and the heel is hooked.
MJF once again.
Gotta hang on here.
Man, I tell you, you're right, Excalibur. MJF, gutsy, brother.
And Danielson just hanging on.
Oh, my God, the pain.
Can he make it to the ropes? He does. And MJF tapping out.
Oh, man,
Danielson didn't see it. Danielson thinks he won.
Bryan thinks he tapped. He heard the tap.
Bryan Danielson, he heard the tap. He thinks he won, but MJF had his hand on the bottom rope.
And what's MJF doing?
That's the oxygen tank. The doctor was giving him oxygen after he thought the match was over.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Bryan, come on. No.
Bryan Danielson
be careful here.
Bryan goes, let's stay away from that.
Oh, my God.
Did Bryce see it?
He hit the evidence. MJF hit the evidence.
The referee never saw it. No way he saw it.
It could have been a right hand. It could have been anything. The referee never saw it.
Never saw it. You can't quote it and see.
And now, oh, no, not like this. The lapel lock. The lapel lock cinched in by MJF.
I think he's out already.
I think you might be right.
I think he's out already.
He knocked him out with that, with the oxygen tank. Just this thing's a steel.
Oh, no. Here it comes. Here it comes.
No!
Whoa! What more does MJF have to do here?
Bryan Danielson will not be denied. Danielson drawing out of the energy of this fantastic crowd at the Chase Center.
This is the atmosphere here is amazing.
But MJF, he hasn't let go. Daniel,
whoa! Wow! Holy shit! Oh man!
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of this match, and still all Elite Wrestling World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF.
First of all, I'm just telling you, you get caught sometimes in a hold after you get hit with a freaking oxygen tank, right? And you get caught and you can't get out after over an hour of competing. But man, what an epic battle.
Yeah. MJF, he made his game plan apparent. Target the shoulder. Target the shoulder of the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson.
Look at that shot right there with that oxygen tank.
But, you know, Taz, we all predicted it. It was in service of the salt of the earth. Never did we suspect that MJF would use the lapel
lock. No, and I'm pretty sure Danielson would think the same thing, right? He wouldn't think that.
You do what it takes to win. I mean, whatever it is.
Maxwell Jacob Friedman has done what many thought was impossible. He outlasted
tested the American Dragon Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match to retain the AEW World Championship.
And I'll tell you, as a retired wrestler, I tip my cap to the challenger, Danielson. Amazing outing. Congratulations to Max. What a night.
Thank you for joining us here tonight for Revolution. AEW is the home of professional wrestling.